Well, gosh darn. Hola, mi gente. Welcome to another episode of On the Block with Jen. Tonight's going to be spicy. Okay, we're going to talk about a couple things before we get to the main topic. Yes, the main topic is, are we better off colonized? Ouch. Damn. That was a liver punch. Ow, rib cage. Are we better colonized? And by we, I mean people of color. Those of us that were colonized, right? Some of us are still being colonized, right? If you count gentrification as colonization, right? Hello, people. Hello. So happy to see you. I feel good. I hope you feel good. And remember, if you don't feel good today, if you had a bad day, that's what the sun sets for. And the sun rises tomorrow. Shake it off. Shake that shit off. It happened. It was said. Whatever. Time goes on. We go forward. We don't go back. So there's no need to sit in what happened because we don't go back there. We go forward. So if you had a fucked up day today, let it go, put it in a bubble and blow it away, no matter how bad it is. This too shall pass. That's how time works. It goes forward, right? The sun will set tonight. You'll take your ass to bed. Next day, don't hold on to it. It's a new day. Start all over. You start all over, all right? It's a little message of love from me to you. You start over tomorrow. Fuck all that. Hang out with me tonight, okay? And let me piss you off. Get your blood going. Get your adrenaline going, right? Take your mind off of shit. So what's up? Let's take care of business really, really quick because I didn't do that on my last stream. If you've been watching my last shows, they've been on fuego, okay? They've been crazy. They've been all over the place. People had to get dropped, right? But we got through it. I know you love my panel as much as you love me. Don't forget, you can reach me at On the Block with Jen at Gmail. Okay, On the Block with Jen at Gmail. That's where you can email me topic ideas. That's where you can connect with me personally. Don't go in there asking me to marry you. I'm not interested in being anybody's wife. Okay. So if you got some business for Jen, YouTube's bad girl, hit me On the Block with Jen at Gmail. If you want to see me act goofy as fuck, you want to see my reels, you want to see my life, you want to see behind the scenes of what I do for a living and how my world is, On the Block with Jen on Instagram and On the Block with Jen on TikTok. Okay? Yeah, got that? Do you need to write it down? It's right there for you. On the Block with Jen on Instagram and On the Block with Jen on TikTok. Okay, you guys know you know we got to hit all the social media platforms, right? In order to make $1 out of 15 cents in this bitch. Right? So I'm happy to see y'all. I'm glad y'all here. As you know, my panel is always open. The chat is going to hold me down, though, so don't get too froggy in there. I don't mind the cursing, yelling, stomping, typing in capital letters. Don't disrespect my ladies. A lot of guys have an issue with that. Why don't you keep it fair? Because it's not fair. Life is not fair. Welcome to fucking planet Earth, okay? Respect my ladies. We're allegedly more emotional than you fellas. So you fellas should be able to hold it down, okay? And be fucking stoic and keep your poker face on. And if there's a lady that you don't want to interact with and she's getting on your nerves, ignore her. You do not have to engage, okay? You do not have to engage. Everything is not a quarrel and a bicker, okay? If someone's fucking with you in the chat, leave them the fuck alone, all right? Don't start none, won't be none. All right, guys, with that said, hello, new subbies, and hello, whoever's watching the replay. You were in here live, and now you got to watch me unlive. See how whack it is when you're not here live? Now you got to, now this is like from a couple hours ago. But I welcome you as well. With that said, let's pay some bills. If you want to support On the Block with Jen, because you enjoy it here every now and then, and mama got to keep the church lights on, feel free to send me a super chat. Or if you want to send me all the money, of course, Cash App won't cut my shit in half like YouTube does. So just follow the Cash App there on the bottom. You see it scrolling on the bottom. It says On the Block with Jen. I'm easy to find. I'm On the Block with Jen everywhere. Instagram, TikTok, Gmail, and Cash App. It's very, very easy. This is elementary, por Dios. On the Block with Jen, spelled correctly. So let's get into this. Tonight's gonna be spicy. Are you digging the inches? I usually have a lot of curl in my hair, but I told my stylist, let's do something different. Let's do a straight. So she gave me straight, which is not good because there's a lot of flat ironing to this shit. So I don't do it often, but I'm hoping you feel in the inches right now. I'm feeling the inches. Are you feeling the inches? Pause. Are you feeling the inches? Pause. All right, guys. So fresh off the press. Did you hear that the Kardashian Westeses settled their divorce today? Did you hear that the Kardashian Westeses, meaning Kim Kardashian and Kanye West, settled their divorce today? Remember, Kanye was dodging court, right? And the judge was getting pissed off and the attorneys were getting pissed off. He finally showed up. Divorce is settled. Did you hear how much he got to pay in child support? Did you hear? If you didn't hear, Kanye West was ordered to pay, y'all ready? $200,000 a month for them 4 kids. $200,000, $200,000 a month. Now I know a lot of guys out there. This makes you. I told y'all before, when Larsa Pippen, Scottie Pippen's ex-wife, she was entitled to some of his pension, right? You know how you guys feel about women getting money. You're so perturbed by the thought of women getting money, even when it's not your fucking money. It disturbs your soul. So you go online and start damning all the women or anything that owns a vagina. You wasn't with him shooting in the gym, bitch. Get a job, bitch. Having babies is not a job, bitch. I hate these 304s. All these fucking hoes want is money, right? Even when it's not your fucking money. Even when it's a wealthy man that got to go half with his wife that he's been with for 20, 30 some odd fucking years. And she's been putting up with his infidelity and his limp dick and the mistresses and all them kids they had together. You don't want her to be compensated. Fuck these bitches. Fuck her. All they want is money, right? And the manosphere goes wild. So I'm sure today, okay, and tomorrow, all you're going to see on your fucking timelines is, how dare that billionaire bitch take $200K from Kanye? Fuck that hoe, right? You're going to see a lot of that because it disturbs the male soul to hear that he has to come out of pocket for a woman. Now, this is what I say. Those are 4 kids. It doesn't matter what Kim Kardashian is worth, right? This is just my idle opinion because I really feel like this is rich people problems. This rich people problems, he got that shit. Stop looking at divorce settlements and child support from your tax bracket. I keep telling you that because you're going to fucking torture yourself. If you have a regular job, whatever that regular job is, right, that doesn't result in you making millions and billions of dollars, that ain't your tax bracket. It ain't your fucking business. And no matter how you talk about, like, you know about it, like, she don't deserve $200K. You know how much money the motherfuckers spent? You know how much money those motherfuckers spend, their pocket money that they walk out their house with, you know what I mean? When they're walking their dogs and they just walk, their fucking pocket money is your fucking annual salary. This is not that. You cannot look at the $200K like, oh my God, that's too much money. He got it. He got it. You may not have $200K to spare every month for some kids, but Kanye got it. This is a man that we've heard for decades, okay, explaining to all of us how wealthy he is. He even told people, why should I listen to you if I got more money than you? So Kanye got it. These motherfuckers drive Maybachs and Rolls Royces. They live in $53 million homes. They take vacations. They own private jets, okay? Their wardrobe is Balenciaga down. Shoes that cost $2,000. Shirts that cost $5,000. They get to have dinner with the Warren Buffetts and the Bezos and the Elon Musk. You do not speak that language, okay? Kanye got it. So relax, relax your soul because Kanye got that money. He got that $200K. He'll be all right, okay? Little kids will be 18 or 21, whatever the law is out in California, and he'll be done with it. Matter of fact, if he was smart, he'd just pay that shit in one lump sum. He got that too. He got it. And a lot of people are like, yeah, but now he don't got the Balenciaga and Gap and Adidas deal. According to Forbes, he's still worth $500 million. $500 million is a lot of fucking money. That's a lot of money. Kanye got it. Why y'all so stressed for Kanye? Why y'all so stressed? He got it. Kanye got it. Relax. But I know the idea, that fucking ex that you hate, that you wish was dead, getting money, right? Again, bothers your soul. But you have to let that go, homie. Kim Kardashian is not your ex. Let it go. Kim Kardashian is not your mama. Let it go. So it doesn't have so much charge for y'all. Every time you hear a wealthy motherfucker is giving half to his wife, like, y'all gotta, it ain't your fucking money. You're not in that tax bracket. And I will say this to you men, because women get a lot of heat for having multiple children. Okay, let's have some real talk for a minute. I'm gonna bring it down for you, so I'm not yelling in your ear, okay, on a late night. I'm gonna bring it down for you. Women catch a lot of heat for having multiple children with multiple baby mamas. You know the shit that y'all always talking about. But men, I'm telling you, men, y'all are always bitching and moaning and crying about child support. Y'all are some, and let me tell you, with that said, in your defense, child support, in my opinion, is unfair. They do be dragging y'all. But your anger is always fucking misdirected. Your anger should be towards the laws and the other men. Guess who makes the laws? Other men, just like you, penis carriers. That's who makes the law. That's why you get dragged. That's why they take your driver's license, your motherfucking passport, so you're grounded and can't fly nowhere. Men do that. That's why you get locked up. That's men. And what you want to do is be angry at what you stuck your dick in. No, you did that. You was like, That shit felt good when you were coming in her and shooting up the club. Didn't it feel good to feel like a man? That's what y'all were doing, right? Now all these rugrats are running around and now you mad because the bitch don't want to be with you no more. But I keep telling y'all, and y'all think I'm crazy. I keep telling y'all, stop getting married and stop having kids. Stop. I keep telling y'all that. You're going to let tradition, Jesus, and the human hamster wheel fuck you in the ass every fucking time. This is not 1901. This is 2022. Everyone knows how to prevent pregnancy. All of us. Everybody. The information is abundant. The child support options are abundant. You got abortion for those of whoever's pro-choice. I know a lot of you holier than thou is like, no, let's not kill a baby. That's a human. But for you others who don't want children, there's abortion, there's birth, all kinds of shit. But you got to go in there raw. Feels good raw, don't it? It feels good to have your little mommy under you like, yeah, baby, come in me. Don't it sound good? Don't it? The moment just, ooh, you off that Henny? Yes. Come, right? Now you running around after these rugrats that you don't want to pay for. Everybody wants to fuck. The majority of people don't want kids. But everybody wants to fuck. But the majority of y'all don't want kids. Stop fucking having kids and stop fucking getting married. If you had $1 million right now, would you put it on a fucking craps table and bet it? Would you? If you had $1 million, here you go, $1 million. Okay? Picture your dick is $1 million. You gonna put your dick on the craps table and see what happens, whether or not it gets chopped off with child support? No, you're not gonna risk it because you're gonna be happy with that $1 million. What y'all do is put your dick on the craps table and here come 3, 4, 5 kids and now you're like, I gotta child support these bitches. I hate these hoes. No, you did that. You did that. Stop getting married. Stop fucking having kids. Stop it. Stop it. The divorce rate is 50-50. You know that shit, y'all like 50. Y'all always worried about a woman wanting 50-50 or 50. You got to pay 50% of the bills. No, motherfucker. Think of the divorce rate when you think of the number 50. Half of y'all won't make it in a marriage. I didn't make up the fucking number. Half of y'all won't make it in a marriage. And the ones that stay, and then cut that other 50 of, no, but 50% of the people stay married though, Jen. You can't shit on that. I won't shit on that. But cut down that 50 to 25% of those motherfuckers don't want to be there. They're staying together because, it's economically smart. We got to raise these children. We had them after all. I got to stay at least long enough to see them to college. I'm not fucking this bitch no more, but I got to stay because she's going to take all my fucking money. Marriage is a fucking disaster. It is seldom done well. Seldom. If I was throwing out a fucking stat for shits and giggles, I say 25% out of 100% of people that get married do it successfully. Those are your odds. May the odds forever be in your favor, but those are the odds. 50% say, fuck all that. I don't care what I'm going to lose. I'm out. Right? Then the other 50, but Jen, 50% stay married. You have to have hope. And it's getting worse. It's getting worse. Men aren't having sex statistically under the age of 30. Blah. Women are independent now. They don't want to be married. There's no need. It's not like back in the day. We're not your grandparents. It's getting worse and worse and worse. And you still are using your dick with abandon like it's 1901. And it's not. Stop getting married. Stop having fucking kids. You guys know I went on the Kendra G show. For shits and giggles, it was fun. And for any of you motherfuckers that think I actually went on Kendra G to find a fucking man, take your dick out your ass. Do I look like I need to go on a YouTube talk show or get a fucking date or get a man? Like some of y'all ran with it. Y'all dragged that shit. Oh, she was on Kendra G. Motherfucker, she's like one of the hottest dating shows on YouTube. You think I'm not taking my ass over there? You think motherfuckers are not taking their ass over there? Like, you went on a date? Yeah, motherfucker, I was there. And I love Kendra, by the way. Very entertaining show. Very entertaining. I can't wait to see that shit spin off on TV because that's where she headed. So salute to Kendra G. Anyway, you guys know I was over there. So I watch it every now and then because I subscribe to her channel. This guy was on there. 5 fucking kids. 5 kids. But I'm 6'2" and I work for IT. Motherfucker, you are strapped for the rest of your life. 5 kids, 3 different women. True story. 5 kids, 3 different women. Who the fuck wants to date that? Since you're always talking about women are washed up, nobody wants you if you got kids. What woman wants to date a man with 5 kids and 3 different baby mamas? Oh, some of which he said he doesn't co-parent with well. Ooh, what a catch. Well, he's 6'2". I guess we should head on over there anyway. The motherfucker could have been 8 feet tall. You got 5 fucking kids and 3 baby mamas. Okay? 5. Now, I did some little research, right? Shits and giggles. Google. How much on average does it cost to raise a child in this country? $17,000. Right? $17,000. And I'm sure that's like a normal kid. Because us color folks, we like putting them in the best. They got to have Jordans. They got to, I've seen babies with the little Jordan moccasins. Because as soon as that little motherfucker's born, you got to give them swag. Right? What kind of formula are you giving him? We got the Jordan moccasins. And, ooh, the Gucci baby carrier. We need that. Right? He needs to be in his little Louis Vuitton diaper. So I'm guessing $17,000 for a normal kid. But in our communities, we're extra, right? So 5 times over, $17,000. $17,000 this man is paying 5 times over. Who the fuck wants to get involved with that? Stop fucking having kids. And I'm going to get off this subject by saying this. We must normalize living lives without struggle. Can we normalize that? Why is it that generationally there's this fucking order, right? Our parents did it. Our grandparents did it. We do it. We connect with another human being. We get the fucking, we have kids. Now we breaking our asses to raise these little Negroes. Now we breaking our fucking asses to raise them. I gotta work. I gotta do 2 jobs. I gotta have 2 jobs. Oh my God, the kid needs braces. He needs clothes. The school, and there's the school dance. And oh my God, I gotta bake muffins and take it to dinner. They got a school trip. They got the money, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You gotta keep this little Negro alive. And you gotta feed him. And you got, oh my God, and the doctor bill. Oh my God, he just broke his arm. And everything is like, oh, do I have the money for it? Why is that so fucking normal? Why is the struggle the tradition? Why is that? Yeah, I'm gonna keep having these babies because I love this man. Oh, here I'm like, what you having this? I'm having a girl. Yeah. How much do you have in your savings? What kind of income do you have? That your baby daddy die tomorrow. Are you gonna have to get a second job to raise this child? Why is the struggle normal? See, why is the struggle so normal? What is going on? Why do we keep doing that? Again, most people want to fuck. They don't want to fucking get married, and they sure as hell don't want no kids half the time. It's a novel idea. Children are a novel idea. Stop fucking getting married and stop having fucking kids. I'm gonna keep telling y'all that. Or don't listen to me. Go get divorced and be fucking miserable and up to the neck in child support, because that's what happens. 9 times out of 10, that is what happens. And me as your friend, I'm telling you, refrain. Refrain. It's not worth it unless you are solid in your career. Okay, unless she is solid in her career, or she wants to be a stay-at-home mother and wife, and you could foot the bill for all of that. Unless you're in that tax bracket, right? Don't fucking do it. Stop. And men, y'all get the short end of the stick because y'all get stuck with the child support that's not living. They're taking too much and I can't live a proper life. My quality of life went down because I fucked this bitch and had 2 kids. Stop it. Be responsible for your own fucking life. Stop it. Stop complicating your own life. A lot of these people running around out here stressed and I don't got enough money. I think I'm bipolar. I suffer from depression. What's your life like? What did you volunteer your life for? Because I think people think that life happens to them. No, you control what happens. And sometimes accidents happen, like car accidents or plane crashes. But for the most part, we control what happens to us. We control, right, who we let in and out. And this motherfucker here, because I was hearing this too. A righteous name said, Jen would let him smash Raw regardless. Pay attention. Another thing we have to do is, I know a lot of you degenerates confuse all women for who your mother was, right? Your mother let anybody smash. That's why you in my chat now hating, right? This is what your mother contributed to the planet, right? Some degenerate hating in a chat on YouTube. This is what your mother contributed to the planet. Congratulations, Mama Righteous Man name. Congratulations. Thank you for giving us this gem. Thank you for putting this piece of shit on the planet. Thank you, Mama. Thank you. You deserve a fucking award for giving us yet another degenerate. But no, honey, you cannot confuse regular women for what your mama had to do and who your mother let hit raw. Let's stop doing that. Let's stop doing that. Let's normalize every woman you see is not your mama, okay? And what she put up with and what she had to go through. Let's stop it. Stop it. So, I say again and again, like, stop doing it. Stop complicating your life. Humans complicate their lives. All these motherfuckers that are pissed as shit at child support, you fucked that lady. You had them kids. You could have not had children. And salute to the women and men that I know now that are in my age bracket who don't have kids, don't have a husband, don't have a wife. They are living on easy street. Fucking who they want to fuck, traveling. All their money is theirs. They don't got that little note on that check that says child support. Right? Salute to y'all. Y'all did it the right fucking way. But people will try to shame y'all all fucking day. They're like, when you gonna get married? Why you ain't married? Nobody must want you. You're not worthy. Why you ain't married? Right? Meanwhile, they up to the fucking gills and fucking bills and child support and struggling. Don't listen to a motherfucker. I'm telling you now, if you can hear the sound of my voice. If you have not yet to have children and you are not married, don't fucking do it. Do not do it. It is not in your best interest. And no one else is telling you that. No one else is telling you that because weddings are a huge, huge, huge billion-dollar business. And so is divorce. And so is child support. It's a billion-dollar business that is not in your favor. It's not in your favor. It doesn't benefit you. It benefits the government. It benefits the wedding industry. And it benefits the wife that is going to divorce you. Because remember, 75 to 80% of women file for divorce. 75 to 80%. So that bitch is going to want to have nothing to do with you. And you're going to be stuck. And you're going to see it on your fucking check, fellas. Stop doing that. Stop it. So when you look at Kanye West, don't feel sorry for him. Feel sorry for your next door neighbor, your cousin, your family. You feel sorry for yourself. You can't afford the child support. You're going to be hurting. You're angry at all the hoes on the planet. Kanye got it. He got $200K a month. Kanye got it. He got it. And then some. Don't think because he lost them deals, he's completely destitute now. He's like, oh, Kanye he's worth $500 million. I'm sure he has other investments. I hear he has acres and acres and acres of land. Okay. He still has a good name. He could still make money off that fucking pity tour he's on. He's been on all these podcasts and interviews. Motherfuckers still want to interview him. That evil Jewish media he was talking about, they're still putting him on fucking camera and giving him a microphone. They're still doing that. He'll be fine. Kanye will be fine. Don't cry for him, Argentina. He'll be fine. He'll be fine. Don't cry for him. So moving on. Before we get to the topic, have you guys seen Will Smith on this fucking pitiful tour he's on? Let me tell you something. Will Smith, okay, is very nervously, all right, just very nervously promoting that slave film by any means necessary. Will Smith has finally come out of his little dumbass cocoon, right? Because he had to go in a little dumbass cocoon. The cocoon had dumbass written on the outside. Now he's out and he has to promote this slave film by any means necessary. So he was on Trevor Noah. I forgot what other show he's on. He's just like, and Will Smith does this thing that fucking grinds my gears, right? Well, Will Smith is a larger than life character. Okay. He's a very confident man, very, what some of us would call in certain circles, alpha male, right? He's a very, but when he's being apologetic, so to speak, when he's being apologetic, he becomes this fucking mush pile of a man. He's stuttering, he's slurring his words. Like it just sounds really stupid. And then it starts looking like an act, right? And if you've seen his latest interviews where he is promoting the new slave film, he does this. Well, I know people not ready for me to, and he does this thing, and I know people not ready, but I would understand, but what I don't want people to do is to miss out on seeing this film, Trevor, because I understand if they're still mad at me, right? But I don't want my team to suffer. Antoine Fuqua did a great job on this film. Will, that's not you. Like that's not you. It's overacting and it's corny, right? So it wasn't me that really did that. It was that 5-year-old little broken boy. He's still milking that shit. Okay, it's the big cow he carries everywhere. He's still milking. It wasn't me that attacked Chris Rock. It was that little boy that was 6 years old and couldn't protect his mother. It's cringe. It's cringe. And this is why you got to be careful when you get too big and you got nothing but yes men and yes women around you. This is why it's bad. He needs a friend like me to say, motherfucker, you look stupid. Go on fucking TV and say, I fucked up. That was some bitch ass shit I did. I fucked up. Okay? My marriage be on the rocks. people talking about me. I fucked up. But I'm apologizing and I'm fucking back, and I hope you accept it. And I know some of you will never accept it, and I can't do anything about that. But I have to move forward, y'all. I have to move forward. So I'm hoping y'all will welcome me with open arms of forgiveness. And if you can't, you can't. And if you can't, you can't. And so many people will fucking respect that. But that pathetic blob that he does, right? When we know Will Smith is not that character, when we know Will Smith is not like that, okay? We know he's not like that. But if I just want to be. What is this? Promote the fucking movie. We here. People have done worse. Are you forgetting what community you in? This is the community where they celebrate rapists and pedophiles. You forgetting where you at, Will? Nobody cares. R. Kelly was performing in the club more than once, and bitches were in the front row talking about pee on me, kidnap me. That's the community you in. And that's a plus for you. You are in that community. That is your community. Where if they find out one of their favorite celebrities is a rapist, they say, why a woman coming out now 30 years later? That's the community you in, Will. Trust me, nobody gives a fuck. Nobody gives a, we're all mad here, Alice. Nobody fucking cares. So you don't need to continue that act, that pathetic blob of it. Unnecessary. Welcome to the community where everyone is beyond reproach. Even the worst of the worst, the most vile, the most degenerate. You're all welcome here, long as you have a talent, of course. Long as someone has laughed at you on a sitcom or enjoyed your blockbuster film. Well, there's just no limit to what a degenerate you can be, Will. That's the community. Welcome back, babe. Welcome back. See, but what Will is afraid of, gotta be. He gotta be afraid of what white people think about him. Okay? And we're going to segue into the topic. All right? The topic is, are we better off colonized? But Will gotta be worried about the white gaze. Because it ain't us. Because we proved over and over and over and over and over again that you could be the most degenerate motherfucker on the planet, long as you have a talent and you tap dance or you sing or you rap real good. There's no limit to what a criminal you can be. I mean, murderers get celebrated in our community as long as you could throw a football. Ray Lewis pause, right? So I'm like, it can't be that Will is worried about the black gays. He's worried about whitey. I see you, Will. Will is worried about whitey. That's what it is. That's why you get nervous when you're on these shows. It ain't us. You worried about whitey. Because he was the most, to date, friendly, happy, unassuming, nonviolent, love is love, Negro in Hollywood. And all of that came crashing down when you went full black on them and made them clutch their pearls and drop their teacups. Oh, by golly, Will is black. That gotta be what he's worried about. Can't be worried about his own community. Can't be. No fucking way. What? Do you know that if there's a rapist in our community, and if he got a couple platinum albums, you fucking demonize his victims? That's what we do here. That's what we do here, Will. So it can't be us. It's not us Will is worried about. It's not us. It's not. He's worried about that white gaze, okay? Because that white gaze pays. Yeah? That gotta be it. It ain't us. It's not us. So, with that said, I talked your ear off, okay? Could you believe this is me natural? I don't drink coffee. I don't do drugs, right? I don't drink, except for like on New Year's Eve, my birthday, I'll have some champagne. But this is me naturally. Scary, eh? All right, guys, so let's segue. I think that's a great segue, seeing as Will is worried about that white gaze. Are we better off colonized? Now, I have a video in my community tab. There's a beef going on between Nicole Arbour and Cardi B. Now, you guys know Cardi B. You probably don't know who the fuck is Nicole Arbour. She's a white girl. So we're going to call her the colonizer, right? Am I right, No Saint? Right? Nicole Arbour is a YouTube personality. She's an Instagram personality. She's a Facebook personality. Every now and then she gets in trouble for being too controversial. Like she'll bash fat women, and then all the news sources are talking about her, and The View is talking about her, and The Talk is talking about her. Like, she went after fat women. This is just horrible. Let's talk about Nicole Arbour. So really, she's not so much famous as people will talk about her if she says something. She has a hefty following on YouTube and a hefty following on Facebook, but she's your basic white bread, blonde, blue-eyed white girl who's trying to be cool all the time. I'm sure some of you have seen her. She was actually in a movie I was in called White People Money. Don't ask me about her. I didn't meet the bitch. I didn't want to meet the bitch. I don't like Nicole Arbour. She is not my kind of colonizer, okay? I don't like her, right? So although we're in the same movie, I didn't meet her. Don't ask. Don't care. Okay? Now you let her tell it. She was like, I was a professional dancer and I danced for the and I'm a comedian and I'm an actress, but there's really no proof of it. Okay? She's a social media character, and she was in the movie I was in for a couple minutes. Right? But you let her tell my right, but everybody online has a resume that reaches from here to the gods, right? She's a social media personality. Anywho, she has a big following, and then she threw on the MAGA hat, and then her following grew to like white trash territory. So she has a pretty big colonizer following, okay? The whites love them some Nicole Arbour, okay? So, are we better off colonized? Let me tell you what Nicole Arbour did with Cardi B. And if you guys are wondering, she actually explains this. It's in my community tab. The video is in my community tab. You want to run over there, look at it real quick, right? Come back or whatever, or you don't really give a fuck. You want to hear me tell the story? I'll tell the story. I'll tell it for you. Okay. Long story short, Cardi B posted a video of Offset dressed as the Joker with a fake gun, talking about someone was going to get killed in an alley, right? Some rap lyrics, the basic rap lyrics. Rap lyrics are either about prostitution, twerking, sticking Sprite cans in your ass, or killing your brother, killing this one, fucking that guy's baby mother. You already, I don't have to tell y'all what hip hop and rap is now, right? Mainstream, right? I know a lot of you are going to be like, no, but there's independent rappers and J. Cole. What about J. Cole and Kendrick? Nobody gives a fuck about them. You know that, and I know that, right? People say, no, you're a real hip hop fan. That J. Cole album. People give a fuck about Drake, okay? Little Uzi, Travis Scott, the Migos, Cardi B, right? Meg Thee Stallion. I'm talking about the mainstream bitches. Please don't talk to me about fucking, don't talk to me about, but Kendrick is positive. Nobody gives it. When's the last time you seen Kendrick plastered all over the place? Like the way you would see fucking Cardi B. Cardi B is selling Pepsi, okay? So let's keep it a buck. Let's not divert here just for argument's sake. Let me fucking get through this. Okay? So Cardi B posted her husband promoting his whatever the fuck the single is, right? And the lyrics go, get in an alley, shoot your brains out, blah, blah, blah. And I'm paraphrasing, right? So Nicole Arbour saw it as an opportunity to start some shit. And as you know, Cardi B is very easily triggered. Cardi B doesn't realize that she's rich now. She doesn't have to answer to everybody. And I have a rule. Right? When you hit a certain tax bracket and somebody's picking a fight with you, do not respond unless they have a bigger following, unless they have more exposure, unless they have more money, someone that you're going to answer to, right? Or reply to, and they're going to put you on because they have a bigger following. But Cardi B, anybody can get her. Like anybody can trigger Cardi B. You could go in her comments right now and be like, yo, ass fake bitch. That's why you used to be ugly. And she'll do a video about it and mention your name, yada, yada, whoop-de-whoop, right? She's that girl. She's the Bronx girl. And she's the Bronx girl at 1 million, 2 million, 3 million. She got to clap back. She got to clap back. She don't realize that the higher you get, the less you got to clap back. Right? So Nicole Arbour was like, oh, she hit her in the feels. In the feels. Nicole Arbour was like, oh, so Takeoff just died and you're promoting Black men getting killed? Like, when are y'all gonna learn? So then Cardi B clapped back. I told you guys about this yesterday. She clapped back, like called Nicole Arbour a pink neck, which I thought was hilarious. I thought that was funny because I usually hear white women being called pink toe, but she called her a pink neck. I thought that was hella funny. But then she also said, yeah, well, you know, white people do mass shootings and fuck their cousins or whatever the fuck she said. And fuck their cousins, but y'all don't sing about that. So I guess Cardi B was trying to rationalize, like, well, music doesn't result in murders or degeneracy because look, white people don't sing about fucking cousins or fucking animals or whatever. Y'all don't sing about that, but y'all do it anyway. Y'all don't sing about mass shootings, but y'all do it anyway. So that was Cardi B's rationalization. I think a rationalization that Cardi B can only deliver, right? I would have said something else, but whatever. Okay. So that was Cardi B's clap back. And then Nicole Arbour did one better and clapped back and got into the whole spiel about why does hip hop constantly promote the death of Black men? And it does. And it does. We can't deny that. Hip hop is like that ratchet ass friend that we bring with us to the party and we got to explain before anybody meets her. Like, look, she's really nice. She's not like this all the time. So just like, you know, that's hip hop to us. Like, look, I know our favorite genre of music talks about us killing each other and rape and prostitution and stealing people's and fucking that hoe and taking her man and taking, you know, his wife. And I know it's real, sounds bad, but it's really somewhere in there. It's cool. It's our music, right? But there's no defending it. There's no defending it. And what Cardi B tried to do was defend it. You can't defend hip hop. There's just no way. So this pink neck, Nicole Arbour, now I'm gonna stutter like Will Smith. The bitch had a point. There I said it. The pink neck had a point. Now, the clapbacks are usually what you would think the clapbacks would be. They do it to me, but I don't feel special. They do it to someone like Candace Owens, and Candace Owens is blackity black. So it's not about the ethnicity of the person or the race of the person. It's just a certain demographic of folks want to be beyond reproach. Even if they're self-destructive, even if they're their own biggest enemy, even if they're the biggest enemy of their neighbor that looks like them, right? They want to be beyond reproach. So the clapbacks were as you would imagine. White girl, you don't talk about us. White girl, don't talk about us. White girl, fuck you, white girl. And white people kill each other too. And white people fuck animals. And white people fuck their cousins. And white people are mass shooter. Fuck you, white girl. Don't fuck you, white girl. Don't be talking about us, right? That was the clapback. Aha. But what I was pleased to see was many Black and brown voices under her Twitter saying, you right. And I wasn't pleased to see because they agreed with the pink neck. I don't give a fuck about Nicole Arbour at all. Okay. But it was nice to see. It was refreshing. You smell that? Refreshing. It was nice to see Black and brown folk agreeing, not so much with that bitch, but agreeing that our music is fucking horrible. It is degenerate. It is the theme song. It is the theme music. It is the diamond sold album of degeneracy. I'm happy to see more and more of us saying that music is not okay. It's not fucking okay. The music is not okay. Like, when are we going to get fucking tired of hearing these people rap and sing about people being killed that look like us? And then we turn on the news, 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds, 5-year-olds shot at the barbecue. So when Nicole Arbour was selling Cardi B, wasn't you just mourning Takeoff? Didn't y'all just come from a funeral? And here you are a couple weeks later, and you're promoting your husband, talking about killing who? Other Black men? And then she goes on to say, there's not one song on the radio right now, and the pink neck is right. There's not one song on the radio right now promoting the death of white men. Not a one. And the bitch is right. She's right. Do one of you want to challenge me right the fuck now and tell me what song on the radio or streaming or on Spotify, or which song right now is promoting the death of white men with a hot beat to it? And we're not about to play stupid. I told you I'm not letting y'all play stupid tonight. Sherelle, what's up, man? We're not about to play stupid and act like, well, how do you know hip hop talking about killing Black men? We really gonna go there? Really? Yeah. So, does the pink neck have a point? And this is really gonna blow your mind when I give you this theory. This shit right here is probably gonna be the most controversial shit I ever said. So all you hating ass bitches and dudes that be watching me to get sound bites so you could get content, because you motherfuckers can't pull content out your fucking ass to save your fucking miserable fucking lives. You plagiarizers, you fucking fuck ups. This is gonna be probably the most controversial shit I ever said. So get your recorders ready, you dumb bitches. Do you think, are we better off colonized? Do you think that the colonizer knows better for us than we do? And let me elaborate. Let's just say you're a butterfly expert. You raise butterflies, right? You house butterflies. You keep butterflies contained. You know, you got the butterfly books and everything, right? You're the butterfly person, right? And you've done it for hundreds of years, and your family's done it, and you passed it down, right? If I want to know about butterflies, or what's the best thing for butterflies, or the best environment for butterflies, I'm going to go ask you. The fuck do I know about butterflies? But you guys have been doing it forever, right? Butterfly person. So I'm going to go find out about the butterfly from you. Now, the colonizer, right, has been raping, pillaging, plundering, stealing, appropriating. For 400 or 500 years, they breeded us, put us to work, rape, all of that for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years, right? They wrote notes and books and messages to each other, to other colonizers, where this is how you handle the slave. This is what's best for the slave. This is what the slave will eat. This is what, you know, right? And then slavery was abolished. Then Jim Crow happened. Then systemic oppression, which is still prevalent today. Racism, right? Now we got a lot of friendly white friends. We all have white friends. I have white friends too. We work with them. We play with them. Some of you crazy folks sleep with them. Not my business. So would you say Here's the question. Would you say that a race of people, aka the colonizer, that has always been above us, right, in running shit, not talking about anything else. I'm not saying that they do anything better than we do. That is not what the fuck I said. Listen to the words that are coming out of my mouth. I'm talking about above in violence, because that's how we got in bondage, via violence, via manipulation, via fear. Then there's mass incarceration. Who owns the jails? It ain't us. It ain't us. But who's incarcerated by mass? Us. So I'm just dealing with the facts, not fantasy. Let's just deal with the facts tonight. Just the facts. They run the jails, the prisons, the media, the schools, the banks, the land, big pharma. It's all that, right? It's all the colonizer, right? We're the ones that have been colonized. So would you say that they know better for the people that they colonize, and they've studied us better than we study ourselves? Do they know us better than we know ourselves? Because remember, the butterfly comparison I gave you. If you've raised butterflies, breeded butterflies for years, kept them contained, watched how they move and act, watch what would set them off. Your fathers did it, your grandfathers did it, you doing it, you're passing it down to your kids, this butterfly knowledge. And the average person needed to know about a butterfly or how to manipulate a butterfly. You're going to go to that family. So my question is, are we the fucking butterflies? Are we the butterflies? And with that said, does that mean that the colonizer knows better and can manipulate us? And every now and then a nice colonizer will pop up and say, hey, butterflies, stop talking about killing each other. It's not healthy. So when you look at pink neck Nicole Arbour, is that bitch right? When she looks at Cardi B, and let's be clear, this is a clout chase. We're all clout chasing. I'm clout chasing. Y'all are clout chasing. Okay? Y'all have used me to clout chase. I can't really use y'all because a lot of you are fucking bums and dusties. So if I put you on a thumbnail, it doesn't help me. But you know you motherfuckers that put me on your thumbnail and got clicks. You know that. That's how it works. So yeah, Nicole Arbour, it was a clout chase. Cardi B is the biggest bitch in hip hop. She sat across the presidential candidate. Love or hate Cardi B, that bitch gets clicks and gets eyes on her. So yeah, Nicole Arbour did the clout chase. But in the middle of that clout chase, is the bitch right? Did we not just mourn Takeoff being violently killed? A black man killed by another black man, where other black people were killed? Is he not part of a rap group that talks about killing, fucking, and murdering their own people? So from the outside looking in, if I'm not a pink neck who is 100% genetically slave plantation stock, right? Because I'm sorry, call me crazy, but I feel like we're not far enough removed from slavery for all that shit to be out of these people's genes. Sorry. Maybe in another 1,000 years, the bloodline will change some, but you know that shit they say about pit bulls. Yo, that bloodline fucked up because they raised too many of them to be killers, right? That's how I feel about the forefathers and their forefathers of slave owners. We're not far enough removed. So I think it just takes a little nudge to send a white person back into that mentality. It's in your cells. It's in your cells. Right? It's in the chromosomes. That's why sometimes when you give a child up for adoption, that child is, if you're the type that always does this, right? You didn't raise that child to be somewhere 50 states away doing this. It's in your genetic makeup. So let's say you are a nice white person. And I know nice white people. I have great white friends. But don't get it twisted. I know who the motherfuckers are going to choose should hell break loose and a race riot happen. So let's say it is a nice pink neck. Let's say Nicole Arbour is a nice pink neck, and the bitch is not. I don't like her, right? So I'm not even believing that she's one of the good guys, right? Let's just say, from the outside looking in, let's say you weren't a person of color. Outside looking in, you're like, why these motherfuckers always singing and rapping about killing each other? Why these motherfuckers always singing and rapping about their women are hoes? Like, look at them. What the fuck is wrong with these people? But they're always complaining about racism and oppression. And they oppress themselves. They're racist among themselves. They're inter-racist. The dark ones hate the light ones. The light ones think they're better than the dark ones. Look at them. This is interesting. How can we play on that? How can we play that up and make more money, Josh? How do we do that? It seems to me they enjoy it. Now, I know we get blamed for pushing the music out, but look how they volunteer to talk about killing each other. Now, of course, we stand to make some money off of this, but isn't it fascinating, Josh? Look at her. She's talking about stripping and making money off of black men. The black man that she's supposed to love and supposed to love her. She just finished rapping about get a black man for everything he fucking got and owns. Stick him up, shoot him up, get your bag. Well, would you look at them go, Josh? Sign the bitch. Give her an advance, too. I like her. I like her a lot. Can you really blame the pink necks, the pink toes, the colonizers? Can we really blame them for capitalizing off the degeneracy? You know, that we keep blaming them for. Well, you know, they're not. It's like Will Smith. It wasn't me who hit Chris Rock. It was that 6-year-old who couldn't defend his mother, right? And we do the same shit. Well, had it not been for systemic oppression, I'd have a better job. But everybody's racist out here, so I can't do what I want to do. Obama was president. That doesn't matter. That's just one black guy. Okay. So, can we really look at these white people, these colonizers, like they crazy? And are we better off colonized? Where would we be? Would we be better off? Would we be better off if we weren't colonized? Or are we better off because we are? Here's something else people don't want to hear. If I had to move back to the Bronx, I want to move back to a gentrified neighborhood. Because I don't want piss in the hallway. I don't want to see graffiti on the door. I don't want to see the windows broken. I don't want Tito, Carlos, Tyrone, and JJ smoking blunts on the steps when I'm coming from work and going to work. And I got to say, excuse me, guys. Excuse me. I don't want to walk in between them. So, are we better off colonized? I'm dropping the motherfucking link. Let me see who got the cojones to come up here tonight. We're going to have this conversation now, y'all. We're going to have this conversation. We're going to have this conversation. And we ain't going to be here all night. So chop, chop. Don't be looking to see when you could jump in like double dutch. Come on up here. Tell me what you got to say. Tell me what you got to say. Say it with your chest. Tonight is say it with your chest night. I just said it with my chest for like a fucking hour. So don't all stand there looking at me like I'm fucking crazy. Come on up here. Come on up here. Hit the link. Please hit that subscribe and that like button if you're here. Do me that favor. If y'all ain't gonna super chat me or hit my Cash App, hit that like and subscribe. It don't cost nothing. Even you lurking ass bitches, right? Claim you don't like me. You're staring right in my face. So I dropped the link. Let's see who comes out. I see Juwana backstage. What's up, House of Matrix? House of Matrix said Jenny funny as fuck. White people impressions. Yeah. Oh yeah, I got them down pat. They may study us, but I study them as well. I worked corporate in Manhattan for many, many years. Okay. All right. You guys just better support my fucking show when I sell it, because I got jokes for days on everybody. Ah, look, a colonizer.
Hold on, let me adjust this. My sound. I gotta find my sound on the air. Hold on.
How apropos, sir. How apropos.
All right. I think we got you.
Hey.
Hey, I'm waiting. Where's the other? I know we got more than just me up here, huh?
And listen, so many people told me, "Oh, I'm coming up for that." I don't see nobody yet. I don't see nobody yet. We'll see. We'll see. I dropped the link. I don't see nobody yet, but you know, it's interesting that the colonizer was here first.
Yeah, man. Well, you know, you had a nice long monologue there.
I did.
I was taking some interesting notes. Got some disagreements and some, but.
So let me hear what you got to say, because I do have questions for you.
Oh well, let me listen to the questions.
Well, the first question I want to ask is, I think you should go through your thing first, and then I'll ask you some questions if you don't cover it in your retort.
Well, listen. What I'm gonna say is that when I listen to people, I'm very good at being contrary. You know what I mean? I don't necessarily support certain positions 100%, but at the same, and I'll listen to things and say, come on, that's kind of opinion or pseudo. Don't know if you can prove that. So that's my problem when I'm listening to people. I'm like with the whole the whole DNA thing, because like it's in DNA, because the reality is, and I'm kind of a student of history too, is that slavery is a human story in general. Colonization is a human story in general. It's only been dominated recently in the last 500, 600 years by Europeans. But I'm not making excuses for it. Another thing I see is people tend to think that, history begins with, I'm not saying, follow me on this. People tend to think that history begins with, or certain people's history begins with colonization, or that's where it ended, right? Like there was this piece of land and it was always held by one person. Then here comes the Europeans, or like I always say, it's just a rent. People are renting land. Nobody owns land, because guess what? Another 1,000 years, somebody's going to be probably in the United States, or what would be the United States. Before the United States, you had the indigenous people. Before the indigenous people, there may have been other people that came. And especially since we're hunter-gatherers, nobody was really occupying land in general. So this notion of there was nation states, thousands of years ago just didn't exist. So again, not making an excuse, because I was just born here, right? I'm the beneficiary of what people did before me. the colonizers and what have you. But when you look at history in general, there's land changes hands all the time. That's not an excuse. But what I'm saying is, I don't know where the Tianos in Puerto Rico, if they were the first people there, or did they come in?
Taino, and we were.
Taino. Well, you say you were, but there's no history. Like, people have been around, millions and millions of years. So to your knowledge, they were the first people there.
Continue.
So anyway, so that was the one. So anyway, just because I was looking over the history of Ukraine, and just to see how many different people occupied that land. You have the Crimean Tartars that were pushed out. So just that's my whole thing. Like, if you look at the way, it's not like in Africa there were all these countries, right? There were tribes, right? And so anyway, I don't want to make excuses, but I was just, because I'm not this person that makes excuses for the Europeans coming over here like we did something great, right. That's not, but I'm just coming from a more of a historical, I'm trying to look at it from a world history. And anyway, go ahead. You can grill me now.
Okay, I'm not grilling you yet. I do want to hear from Haran. I wrote down like 2 or 3 questions for you just out of pure curiosity, but I want to hear from Haran first. I don't know how much of my monologue he caught, but if you missed this one, you missed a good one, Haran.
Oh no, I saw the whole thing.
So you got the 411. Okay.
Yeah, I saw the whole thing.
The mic is yours.
I thought it was spot on. Funny thing, I forgot to tell you. I should have sent you this video. It'll work well with this whole situation. Umar was on a particular show. Got the name of the show. These motherfuckers. Everybody got a fucking podcast now. Anyway, he was on a particular show, and he said something that was very poignant. And me, I got jokes with Umar for days. You know what I mean? But he said something real heavy, and I stood by what he said.
Really?
He said something real heavy. He said something on the subject of reparations. And he said that Black people, collectively speaking, are not financially responsible enough to accept reparations at the moment. So it would be a disservice. So it would be a disservice to the community. If you sent me that, did you?
I said that, but I'm the racist can't say it. They call me racist when I said it, but I said that. I said they would just give it back. If you
and that's essentially what he was saying. That's essentially what he was saying. That's essentially what he was saying, and just as predicted, the moment that he said that, the community started dragging him. All of a sudden, they talked about the school that was promised that didn't show up, and so on and so forth. All of a sudden, the grifter and yada yada. And I was like, wow, it took him to say this in order for you all to actually admit that, yeah, this dude is a con artist. But a broken clock, yada yada, so on and so forth. The point of the matter is this. I was on Twitter, and a couple of my friends, they caught a few people actually saying that with the advent of student loan forgiveness, a number of them were planning on spending the money on Beyonce tickets. Like that was the pinnacle. They couldn't wait to get that money in order to spend it on Beyonce tickets. Not we're gonna put it to the side for the kids' college education, or even invest a portion of it in anything, like, I don't know, a bond maybe, let's just go consume.
Yeah.
Let's just go consume some stuff, rather than actually think about the long game and preparing and so on, and really thinking about things. Because I'll give you a point. This is why self-awareness is so important. Someone asked me, like, if I won the lottery, what would I do? Like, if I won like like the lotto, the jackpot recently that was huge. And if I took home like 400 million or 800 million dollars,
Mhm.
I told them I was like, I would not quit my job immediately.
Mhm.
I'd work a couple of months, let it sink in, plan out some stuff, and then I'll segue out. I mean, this is all under the guise that no one knows that I have this money. By the way, what I mean. But if I have this money in private, I'll just segue out and just plan my movements. Now I know to do that because I'm a mature person now. The 20-year-old me, I'd be dead in 6 months if I had like $400 million.
Mhm.
I mean, I mean, I'd lose my ever loving mind. I can't even imagine if I was young and I woke up one morning, knowing from my past history, and I woke up one morning and I literally have probably more money than I can actually do anything with. I'd probably lose my mind. Like, if we take into account Mike Tyson,
Mhm.
Mike Tyson, by estimations in terms of inflation and so on and so forth, he roughly spent, by modern times, he roughly spent $1 billion.
Mhm.
If you kind of think about it, because back
That's easy.
then,
Yeah, it's easy to believe.
yeah, because back then it was like he blew like I think 300, 400 million cash. This is not liquid now. I mean, excuse me, this is liquid. This is not assets and accumulation. Like, this dude blew $400 million cash, which I can imagine he really did have that kind of money, because I mean he was an economic powerhouse at one point in time. Let's call it what it is. But the point here, roughly the point here that I'm making is that Umar was basically saying that we have not reached a level of maturity where we can be given a certain degree of power and use it responsibly.
Mhm.
And
I
I
want
agree
to,
with that.
can I say something to that?
Yeah, sure, sure, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So listen, everybody thinks reparations is going to be like, I mean, if I'm for it, first of all, I'm for reparations, but everybody assume or thinks the first thing is you're getting a paycheck. I think reparations should be like, yeah, free education, college education, VOTEC, stuff like that, not just a paycheck. Because financial literacy, that's like you said, that's like, there's plenty of people, white people, black people, Asian people that blow money, get a, like, if they win the lottery or what have you, they don't know what to do because they just don't have that um, financial literacy, if you want to put it that way. But there's ways to do it that could actually, be creative and help everybody who deserves it. That's my opinion.
So actually, that's the first time I heard of reparations, and I would agree with, if it's not in the form of money, because let's face it, it's just gonna go back. Like, if you give people, we saw it with the PPP loans. When all those people were doing the con game with the PPP loans, why did they get caught? Because they're all on Instagram showing their new cars, their clothes, right? Their new homes, their new houses, and they all got caught. They all got caught. But that's what they did with those con PPP loans. So if reparations did come in the form of education, things like that, land, things like that, but cash, they're just gonna give it back. They're gonna go shopping, Louis, Gucci, Prada, you know what I mean? They're all gonna get their money. They're all gonna get their money. That's what's gonna happen.
I think that hear me on this one. I think in many ways black people are, I don't want to say victims, but the curse of our own natural personalities puts us in a bind most of the time. Because, okay, let's use this situation with the PPP loans. All right, what's the main thing that happened once success was actually achieved? We got on Instagram, and what did we do? Perform. We got on, Twitter, and what did we do? Perform. We entertained. We're easily larger than life characters. You know what I mean? That's why we work so well in music and entertainment and sports and so on and so forth. We're able to grab the spotlight and explode. but we have not conditioned ourselves to understand that there we should be far more than just that. We're not just entertainers. We're not just swagged out all of the time. You know what I mean? Like, you got these dudes that are like, come on, man. I mean, you got dudes in their 50s dressing like 15-year-olds. Like, no, like the baby blue pink shit ain't popping on you, dog. You're 55. You know what I mean? Like, you need to be on some mute clothing, some mute colors, some nice, shoes. You know what I mean? The pink hoodie's not popping on you, pops. Like, that's not where it is. But we're just so boisterous. And I mean, even our preachers, what's the first thing they do? When they become popular, they become loud, boisterous, and loud, the singing,
Gotta
the
get that
dancing.
car. They gotta
Yeah,
get
yeah,
that out.
everything. And of course, prosperity preaching and prosperity messaging is a huge thing, so on
Right.
and so forth. But the point of the matter that I'm making is that we have to step away from that and understand that there's a degree of understanding maturity and being a little bit more conservative with things and just stepping away from that suit we always feel that compelled to put on, that character, that act that we feel that we always have to put on
So
because we're
let me let
supposed to
me
be loud people.
so let me jump in. This is why, like, when I watch TikTok videos, a lot of TikTok videos make me cringe. There's one in particular where it's kind of like, these black men, not even boys, like teenage boys. I get it. They all want to dance and jump around. But these TikTok videos where these black men, adult males, they'll break out and start dancing in front of white people. Right? They do it both to scare them so they could get the reaction for their TikTok. And then they're dancing and, they're dancing to Beyonce and stuff. And I'm like, I find that cringe. I understand we are a people that's heavily steeped in music and dance and sound. But when you're on an escalator, I'm speaking, these two guys do it on an escalator specifically. I don't know if anyone's seen it, but they wait for white people to come down the escalator, then jump on the escalator and start doing the dance. And the white people are kind of like, right? Like, I find that so fucking cringe. I don't think it's funny. I think they're making themselves a nuisance. The white people are usually older white people. I just don't see the entertainment factor. I don't think it's funny. I don't think it's funny. I think they look like fucking buffoons because these are adult males. These are not little, children like, hey, let's do this TikTok dance. These are adult males, full size, not Sammy Davis Jr. size, full size, fucking adult males dancing a jig in front of the white people. And I'm sorry, I find it fucking cringe. I do want to go to something. Hi, Joanna.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you good. I do want to go back to something No Saint said. I got to throw a little cap at you. I throw little caps, not a big cap. But when you said, and you're right, we don't know who was around before the Taínos, so we can only go by what we know, right? I'm sure there's a lot of history prior to us being here regarding religion and people and all of that. But I'm talking about from what we know from the Taínos, like they were colonized. I know you made it, you kind of made it, you could correct me if I'm wrong, but you kind of made it sound like, no, it was just an exchange of, exchanging of the guard. And these people were here now. These people were Christopher Columbus pillaging, plundering, raping. That shit was real.
No. I agree with you there. That's not, I didn't want to come off sounding like that. What I'm saying is throughout history, we don't, in other words, people think, oh, look, the United States stole California, Texas, New Mexico. Those lines were drawn by the Spanish. It wasn't like the Aztec people were all in those areas, because the reason they were able to be colonized is because there were divisions within tribes, right? So, when you say that they stole, that's all I'm saying is it's whoever can occupy and defend the land. That's how it always was. So, but I'm not taking anything away from what you're saying. That's why it's sort of touchy for me to even talk about this, because I'm just looking from a historical sense, right? Like, Mexico didn't exist exactly like when California or when the United States got California, right? That was all drawn out by Spanish, right? Before that, it was different tribes of different people that were occupying that land that didn't necessarily get along with each other either. So, but that's not to make excuses. I just try to put I look at the history, but no, and as far as what you're concerned, I'm not trying to, believe me, I'm not a Columbus fan. I don't even know why we have a holiday. He wasn't even the first European here. So I kind of do know why we have a holiday. I know how that was formed, but I'm just saying it's like, and yes, I understand what you're saying, but when I hear, when you were saying like it's in the DNA, that's what kind of was like, not really.
Okay, then we can agree to disagree there, because I do think it's in the DNA. I think it's rearing, but I also think it's in the DNA. Like we have, Latins, Black people, Asians, we have certain characteristics that even if we weren't around our own people, we would have those habits, because genetically we are of those people. That's why I gave the explanation of the adopted child, where it's like when the child meets the actual parent, it's like, oh my God, you do that? I do that. So we can't deny that genes play a big factor. I don't think we're
okay. So you're saying that genes play a factor in enslaving people? Is that what you're saying?
No. I think that genes play a factor in how white people automatically feel a certain way towards people of color. Slavery, because you're not going to enslave anyone again. But I'm saying, I think it's automatic in white people, and then it's rearing, it's knowing that you're walking around like my race runs the world, right? Then that's another factor. But right. I do think genetically, white people are built a certain way. And I've seen it where I've done it purposely, where you just nudge a white person enough and all of that comes out. And
well, I think that, I know what you're saying. I mean, I meet those people too, right? It's kind of like a defense mechanism, like, I didn't do it, and here you're coming out with, what, I get where you're going with that. Again, I mean, we're going to disagree on that just because in some of these YouTube streets, well, I'll leave that to another day.
Okay, so before I pass the mic, I want to pass the mic to Juana. Before I pass the mic, I did want to ask you, No Saint, what do you feel, just going back to the topic, because I know we're going to go all over the place, but going back to the topic, right? Are we better off colonized? Of course, that was tongue in cheek, and I'm making fun of the Nicole Arbour, Cardi B situation. But, Nicole Arbour was basically telling Cardi B how she should view Black men, right? A white woman was telling a Black and Latin woman how you should view and protect Black men. Hence the question, are we better off colonized? Does the colonizer know better? You as a white person on the outside looking in at hip hop specifically, and I'm not talking about Kendrick Lamar, I'm not talking about LL Cool J back in the 80s, I'm talking about today, the rap music, the hip hop you see today. Have you ever wondered, did you ever think, like, why do they talk about each other like that in music? Why is it celebrated? Why is it promoted? Why do they volunteer to do that type of art?
No, I mean, what I would think, what my whole thought is, because it's selling, and I don't know if it's the white people buying it. I know they say the white people buy a lot of that music, but it did, like, I don't think it's really, we're old enough to remember gangster rap. I mean, that was like the 80s, right? Early 90s. Mm-hmm. I mean, this has been going on a long time, but it when you put it that way, like, first of all, that I didn't even know who that girl was, the one talking about Cardi B. I thought, I mean, she had some points, and I think the fact that Cardi B, her strength isn't really, she's very very good entertainer, but everybody's good at something, and I just don't think she's probably the one to probably argue, because that Canadian girl, I guess she's a comedian and everything, and they're pretty, they can fire pretty quickly, but so I think she was at a disadvantage there, but that's what Cardi B was, but yeah, that's that. I mean, it definitely is, and the more we get on these platforms, the more I think about it. It is very very crazy you know, that
Say it
is
with
what's.
your chest. No, say it with your chest. What do you think about us constantly rapping and singing about killing each other, and the women are hoes and bitches, and Snoop Dogg is walking women into the Grammys with leashes on their neck, and the pimp culture that we promote and celebrate? What do you think is a white man looking into this community? What do you think, so people can hear it? No pressure. No pressure.
Yeah, that's a lot of pressure because you're asking me for you're asking me to have an opinion on.
You're going
Yeah,
down, white man. You're going
you haven't
down.
asked me to have an opinion on a whole you know, a whole bunch of people that probably aren't even involved. And you know, I mean, it's a mixture of people. So I mean, not everybody's the same as far as, you know, everybody in that community, everybody in the Black community is not the same.
Now say it with your chest. Here you go. I'll hold this up while you speak.
Y'all can't see Ish right now, but he's staring tentatively at the screen. He is listening. Ish is
I always
listening the
always
fuck
feel
out
like
of this
what
situation.
I always
I-
feel like, God, man, she puts me on the spot. I like, oh
I-
shit.
Well, no,
Like,
I
I'll
can
just spin it.
feel. I can feel how focused Ish is right now. I can
Mm.
feel how focused Ish is on the screen right now. I feel it. He's ready to
I'll put
go.
it to you. All right. Let me listen. This I did this the other day in my head, and I said, in order for me to answer these questions, I did this the other day because I had trouble the other day when you put me on the spot, because I always feel uncomfortable about commenting about somebody else's issues, right? So if I put it in my own, if that was going on, and it was, so in other words, would it be good for if we had, you know, homicides talking about white people calling their women? No, that's not good. I can tell you like that. No, that's a disservice to be doing that. So when I put it on myself, because I just feel uncomfortable, like it's just sitting there. What is this white man in our business for?
I mean, I invited you to our business. It's fine. I want to have this conversation. Not having the conversation doesn't help. Right? It should be fine, but he better mute his mic because there's a lot of noise. I don't know what's going on. You rolling around in the grass over there, Ish. All right, go ahead, No Saint.
So I don't think it is I don't think it is helping the situation.
See, that wasn't hard. There you go.
But I'll put a caveat to that. But
Okay.
it is unique to America because you have other places in the Caribbean that have been, you know, and other places that listen to the same music and they don't have the same outcomes. Same people that have been colonized in the Americas.
I have a theory behind that, but
Okay,
I'll speak on it.
I'd like to hear it though.
You get to me. Oh no, I'll wait.
But no, but what I'm saying is no, I don't think it helps. I definitely don't think it helps the situation when you it's like you know, advertisers know what they're doing on TV or wherever. They put advertisement out there because they know you better than you know you, and they know what sells, right? So and why do I want to go buy a Coke, you know, over whatever, right? Or you know what I'm saying? So there's definitely
there.
Yeah.
Let's pause right there, because that is what I said about the butterflies. When I compared people to the butterflies, you said, well, advertisers know us better than we know us.
Yeah, that's true.
Colonizer has studied us. Don't you think, and this is in general, not just you know saying, but
Right.
don't you think that the people that run the labels know that we are all going to enjoy that shoot 'em up, bang, bang, she's a hoe, fuck that hoe, these hoes ain't loyal, kill that nigga in the alley, get his money? The labels must know. If they didn't know, they wouldn't push it out, as people say. Well, it's not our fault. The labels are putting the music out there. The artists are making the music. The label is just like, look, these motherfuckers love this self-destruction shit. Let's make some money here. Or it would not sell. So can we really look at them and say, stop pushing this out to our people when our people are making it? It's always been asked backwards to me. It's always been asked backwards to me to blame the labels when the artists are like, well, I need to get this band, so I'm going to say whatever the hell I got to say on this track, who I got to talk to. Don't you think they're looking at us like that? I want to pass the mic to Joanna because she's been waiting patiently.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. What say you, lady?
Hello, everyone. I'm so grateful you're having this conversation, Jen. I think this may be the one time where I feel like I can truly express what I've been expressing on your platforms since I've known you these past. It's almost a year now, I think, that I can express what I what my opinions are and some truths are and some facts are without being chased off the platform or without being screamed at like I was with Big Truck, without having to feel like I'm not separate from everybody else because I'm saying it. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes um, when we just want to speak the truth, it's a lonely experience. It's a very
Oh,
lonely experience, and and these are not good times to be alone or to feel alone. You know, after the pandemic and stuff, I was living out in the middle of nowhere in the country, in the woods in Arkansas. I hadn't seen my family in 2 years. At one point, by the time it was all over and we could take the mask off, and even before the pandemic, even when I was in college, for expressing, just a few facts in my sorority. I was practically chased out of my sorority for some of the things I'm going to say here tonight. Um, I've been kind of alienated from my own family for what I'm about to say here tonight. And and if it's not too offensive to say to you, Jen, there's been times when I feel like, wow, Jen, you know, I've come to bat for you. When people try to claim that you're racist and stuff, and point out how not all, but a great deal amount of black people are very insecure and childish,
mm,
and they just don't even know their history, and they don't even know what they don't know. And when they hear somebody say it, it's offensive to them. And there's been times where I feel like, you didn't have my back when
mm.
I'm just saying what you're saying right now. And I just want to say I love you. I have so much respect for you. I've watched your evolution. You've grown so much, and you deserve everything that the Creator is blessing you with for having these conversations. Some of the things I'm about to say, I know Haran is going to back me up with, and Tristan is going to back me up with, but I know Brother Ish is not going to like it. Um, no Saint, what can I say? It's gotten to the point where, Jen, I feel actually empathetic for so-called white people in this particular country because they can't say anything. The ridiculousness is, I'm pulling my O'Shea Duke Jackson, is at an all-time high. The buffoonery is at an all-time high. What some black people are doing and how they think, not all, but some, and a great deal, is utter buffoonery. And it's shameful and it's embarrassing. And I get on platforms and I say these things, and real strong, die-hard, black people, are so offended and are so rude towards me and others who think like me. For instance, Candace Owens is constantly called a coon. She's just speaking the truth. Why can't we speak the truth? The truth is, Jen, only 2% of so-called white people even owned a damn slave. Not all. Not all white people. And so when we get up here and we say, it's in their DNA, and which ones? In which one of the white people that are alive now had relatives who owned slaves. You can barely find any. You can barely find any. And if we're gonna go that route and talk about what's in their DNA, then you gotta cross the bridge and see what's in our so-called DNA. When you point out the buffoonery of the dancing guys on the escalators in front of white people, when we constantly point out the degeneracy that's going on in this country with some black people, it begs the question: is it in our DNA? The killings, the shoot up stuff. You know, somebody can pay you. Now think about what I'm going to say here. Somebody can pay you $1 million to call other people who look like you bitches and hoes and be proud to shoot each other up. Now, doesn't that sound a lot like historical fact that Africans sold other Africans into slavery in the first place? It's the same thing continuing. We're continuing to sell one another out, but see, we don't look at that as a sellout. What's looked at as a sellout is a person like Candace Owens or someone like myself who is saying, black people, not all, not all, not all, but you're out of order. You're wrong. You're out of order, and until you get in line and in order, you're going to continue to be cursed. You're going to continue to be cursed because uh, blaming white people constantly playing the victim, constantly playing the victim is a burden on the psyche and the soul and the spirit. And no one can rise out of the ashes like a phoenix from that type of mentality. It's a minority mentality. Now I'm considering starting a podcast next year along these lines, maybe titled the minority mindset or something like that. And I'd love to have Brother Haran on there and Tristan on there and you on there to speak on this, because it's a sad situation when we know so little that we can actually say, well, white people put us in slavery. Not all white people. And when we talk about the Jim Crow stuff, when you say, well, we're not that far removed from slavery, who is we? All our descendants weren't slaves. All of them weren't slaves. They were free walking around black people, just like we are right now. You know, and when we talk about the stuff that was going on in the South, try to tell somebody. You go out, try and tell just a regular black person that in 1940s and 30s, in the 20s, when my grandmother was born, 1920, you go out and try and tell some of these black people that it was the Democrats who voted, who were trying to keep them from not being able to vote in the South. You go out and try to tell them that it wasn't all white people. It was a certain sect of white people. It was the Democrats. And those same Democrats, those are the same people who fought to keep you in slavery. Now, it's not nobody's fault that black people didn't learn this about this particular history, but black people are not interested in learning the truth. We just constantly go by hearsay and, you know, carrying these negative images in our minds. uh, it's just shameful. It's gotten to a point where, you know, I will say that if you would ask me 20 years ago, Jen, there was this judge. This was really before internet really popped off. It was this ex-judge who got on there and said black people should be grateful that we brought them here in chains and put them in slavery. And I was one of the ones who was very offended. I was extremely offended. Now, Jen, do you expect me to have the same mentality that I had 20 years ago today?
No, of
As
course.
I've evolved today, I feel ashamed that I was one of the ones who was crying and being very vicious towards that white man who said those things. Because just like you said tonight, these colonizers, if that's what we're going to call them, wasn't it a good thing? Just like how do we say it? Gentrification, it was a good thing. Like you said, if you want to go back to certain places where you used to live. You want to go to the gentrified areas. Well, what that's saying is we want white people to do what white people do, and that's make shit better. And however means necessary to get to that point, it's better under so-called white people. But I can't say that out loud.
You
I
just
can't,
did.
you know, but I want to see if I get called any names. I want to see if I get said that. And here's another thing. And here's what really struck an emotional chord for me. And I don't rarely get emotional, but when that little black girl was at the Disneyland or Disney World, and the Muppet character wouldn't hug her or whatever, and I got up there and I defended the Muppet character and said, we don't know that person is racist. We don't even know that person's background. We don't know that person's affiliation. You know, Even if it was a white person in that suit and didn't hug that little black girl, why is it that white people just probably just don't like that person? Why does it has to be about racism all the freaking time? White people have a right to just not like you
Mhm.
for you.
Mhm.
And that's over most black people's heads. It's like if a white person doesn't like you, they're racist. No, that's not true. That's ignorance. If somebody doesn't like me, that's because they don't like me. Why do I have to add on this other stuff to it? And adding on all these other things, these imaginary things that we're creating in our minds is not going to help the situation. It's not going to move the needle. What you need to be focused on is like what you said. Why are these people singing and rapping and talking and doing the things that they're doing to their own people? No saint, God bless him, is trying very hard to watch his words when he says this. And the best way he could say that was, I would not understand if my own people did that. And we sit up here on these panels and we defend how our own people do and say the things that they do, talking about systemic racism and how my great grandfather was treated, and you weren't even around. As it, and another thing, as if all black people were on Martin Luther King's side. I asked my father about it. He's 75 years old. I said, Dad, did you get out and march when Martin Luther King was out there marching? He said, hell no. He said, that was stupid. We had our own house and land. We had, those are other people. Those were what we call degenerates that were, was getting beat up and done all this kind of way. And I mean, it's just a big, long thing. I'm going to pass the mic, Jen, but I'm so grateful that you're having this conversation. I'm proud of you for what I feel. And I hope this doesn't offend you for your evolution, because like I said, there was times when I said, God damn, you know, I need Jen to really come into her own, and speak on this. You came out strong when you told black women, hey, wouldn't it be a lot easier if you stopped being so fucking sensitive? Wouldn't it be a lot easier if you stopped carrying your race and all this like a scab that other people can pick off? I was so proud of you for having that philosophy. And I want to continue to watch you grow. And anytime you having a show about these types of issues, you will find me supporting you. I'm really not going to get too much into the stuff that sometimes you do have other platforms that you had the other night. It's really not my wheelhouse. But on this, before I die, I want to make sure my voice goes on record in the universe for saying that black people, we can do better. We can do better. Either you're going to be a victim or you're going to be victorious. But be damn sure you're not going to be both.
All right. Well, thank you, Joanna. So before I pass the mic, I want to address some things that you said. I appreciate your opinion. First of all, when you said you felt sometimes I didn't have your back, here's the thing. If anyone is watching me, if any of my friends are watching me, and the reason why they're supporting me, it's dependent upon me having their back all the time, then you're really on the wrong platform. I tell people all the time, do not fall in love with me, because I will pull out and leave you there wanting the orgasm. I will pull out. My opinions vary greatly. So sometimes, Brother Ish and I have a lot of history. Haran saying, Tristan the same, No Saint is the new one. There are times when we disagree vehemently, but we know that we're individuals with different experiences. So I would never look at Haran like, oh, you didn't have my back, or Brother Ish, you didn't have my back, right? We're dynamic, we're individuals. So I'm telling not just you, Joanna, but anybody watching me, I always say, don't get attached, because you'll love my opinion today, and then tomorrow I'm going to say something that rubs you the wrong way. Second thing is, when you say Candace Owens has the truth, I like Candace Owens, broke clock, right, twice a day. But I make fun of that word, the truth, because we all have truth. She has truth, I have truth, you have truth, the guys have truth. Everybody has truth, and to them, that's the truth. So when we have to be careful when we say, well, Candace Owens tells the truth. Yeah, no, Candace Owens says things that sometimes we agree with and that we don't agree with. But we can't blanket everybody by saying, well, she tells the truth, because she's talking about a certain demographic. And then, some, not all, comes in, and there are Black people who do it excellently, who are stellar at life, who aren't victims. They are the victors. So that's why we can't say, well, she tells the truth. Well, maybe she tells the truth about this pocket. Another thing you said, well, who's still racist? Who's genetically still racist? Here's the thing. Even if you aren't a descendant of a slave master, a slave owner, even if you are white and you are not direct descendant of them, you had the luxury of being born and raised and reared in a country where the vibe is white people owned brown and Black people. That's the vibe. So even if you're a white person and you're not a direct descendant of a slave master, you're growing up with that in your psyche, right? That's like, well, anyway, my forefathers weren't slave masters, but white people ruled here. So if I'm a Becky or a Susan, I'm already walking around with this air, right? This air of privilege, this air of I'm better than you, because even if I'm not a direct descendant, we owned you and we ran you. And we see that in the Karens of today. Somebody doesn't like something in the Walmart, Karen is like, nigga, nigga, nigga. We see that today. Now, that woman doesn't have to be a direct descendant or genetically part of any plantation business that went on, but she's walking around with that air and that privilege. As far as like when you ask which white people are directly related to blah, blah, I like what Muhammad Ali said. If a bunch of snakes are coming at me, I'm not gonna stop to say, which one of you snakes are nice? So we still have to be careful. We still have to be vigilant. There are people who don't like you because of your personality, but there are other people who don't like you just because you're Black and brown. Let's be clear. Like, some of us are not liked because of our personality, but some of us are not liked because of our hair texture or our complexion. So, when you say you don't feel, and then I'll pass the mic, when you say you don't feel supported sometimes, I'll give you this advice respectfully. If you are going to be a quote unquote truth teller, if you are going to go against the grain, if you are going to be the person that disagrees with 500 people, then you have to learn to stand on your own. It is a lonely fucking place when you're a quote unquote truth teller. It is a lonely place when you dare to say exactly what you see and not go with the status quo. I stood alone plenty of times with hundreds, not dozens, hundreds of people coming at me, DMing me, threatening to dox me, still in my comments to this day, talking about shit that happened from 2 years ago. It's a lonely fucking place when you're a bad motherfucker. So that's my advice to anybody. If you're going to be that truth teller, expect to be like Candace Owens, being berated constantly. It's lonely.
That's great advice. Because it has been lonely, that's great advice.
It's fucking lonely. Like, there were times where I'm like, damn, I'm arguing with 20 dudes right now by myself. I'm arguing with 20 dudes who are mad I said something about their YouTube guy. So yeah, it's a lonely fucking place. But with that said, Joanna, I appreciate your point of view, and I mean that wholeheartedly. I'm not going to blow smoke up your behind, but I do want to pass the mic. I know Brother Ish is here and Tristan is here, and I know Haran had a question for No Saint, but I do want to pass the mic just so we could keep it moving. And if you can, fellas, try to be concise. I know it's hard because this is a very nuanced conversation, but I don't want to go 5 hours tonight, and I appreciate all your opinions. You guys are my all-stars, like I say. Try to be concise. Brother Ish, did you hear the monologue or did you watch Nicole Arbour versus Cardi B? What say you?
I heard the monologue. I didn't get a chance to watch the video.
Okay, that's fine because I covered it in the monologue.
Right. So, in relationship to the subject, are we better off colonized? No. If we look at the conditions that we're in under the results of colonization, families are fractured. Our community is at war with each other. We're dealing with self-hate. We are in a very dilapidated and declining position in this society. So no, we're not better off as colonized people. And the colonizer has not awarded us or afforded us equal participation in this country. Even just if you look at the problems in the Black community when it just comes to there being a food desert, and there's more liquor stores in the Black community, there are more fast food restaurants. You can't find a Whole Foods in strong urban centers. So no, I don't. In answer to that direct question, no, we're not better off colonized. I would, in response to some of the statements that were made in relationship to slavery, and saying that only 1%, that data is slightly skewed off, because that was a census that was done in 1860, and that was during a time when slavery was illegal in most states by that point. So the actual numbers when it comes to that dynamic is that there was about 32% of white families owned enslaved people, and some of those states that had more slave owners, 46% of the families in South Carolina and 49% in Mississippi, while some only had 20% of the families, like in Arkansas. So it just depends on the region in relationship to that. So why is that relevant? Because the racial wealth gap that was created around slavery was a huge wealth generator for white Americans. And economics, slaves valued at about 4 million. With 4 million slaves in 1860, and the average person being valued at $1,000 per person, we were valued at about $4 billion in 1860. So there was a considerable amount of money that was accrued in this country by whites in owning Black people or Black bodies. And that wealth was passed on, into generations, into corporations, into many different business opportunities, investment opportunities. So, we can't erase that history, because then when it comes to our position in it, we didn't come in with resources. So we didn't have an equal footing at any point in time. And this is not about being a victim. This is just pointing out the circumstances and the conditions and the history. And I think that, just addressing some of the points that were discussed, we can get off into it. I don't want to monopolize it, but I just want to just kind of address some of those key points, and I answered the direct question with a direct answer.
So, Brother Ish, I do agree with what you said, because the 1% to me sounded a little crazy. I was like, wait, 1% of white people own slaves. So I'm glad that you cleared that up. Also, white people back then and now don't have to be racist and didn't have to be slave owners back then to take advantage, right, of the racial dynamic back then. Like I didn't have to be part of a white family that owned slaves to be able to call a Black person a nigger at the store. Like I didn't have to own one to view them a certain way. So just because white families didn't own slaves doesn't mean that they didn't view Black people a certain way. I do have to disagree when you say white people never gave us an equal opportunity. Listen, Listen, we live in a country now where a man could be worth $2 billion. And if he respects the people he works for, he could keep that $2 billion, a black man, right? We live in a country where a black man can now be president if he's swaggy enough. So I have to disagree with you where you say, oh, well, white people have never given us equal opportunity. What do you mean, let us, give us? Fuck them. Like, if I want to go on to be an attorney, if I want to be a wealthy artist, entertainer, then that is what I'm going to do. I'm not waiting around for white people to give me equal opportunity. And I want to ask this question, then I'll pass the mic, but I want to ask this question to Brother Ish. Do you believe that gentrification is a form of colonization light? Do you think it's a form of colonization? Do you think it's white people throwing their weight around?
Absolutely.
So here's the thing.
Absolutely. I believe it is a form of colonization light. I believe that it's when it became far more inconvenient to travel, for 2 hours or an hour and a half to go to work, and they felt like they wanted to live closer to where they were employed. Ergo, Wall Street, Brooklyn, those type of proximities. It was like, okay, well, we're going to move back into Fort Greene, and we'll just price you out of the market, and that's what was done. So, yes.
I got to push back on that.
So, yeah, I want to respond really quickly, and then I'll pass the mic. So, with that said, if you had a family and a wife, right, and your pick of 2 neighborhoods, right, aren't you going to move into the gentrified neighborhood because it's better for your wife and your children than Compton, let's say? Like, are you not going to do that? Are you not going to take advantage of these white people colonized or gentrified that neighborhood?
80s Compton.
Well,
not Compton now. 80s Compton. I know the point you're making.
80s Compton.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, we understand it, and the importance of moving into certain communities is based upon, one, are there good hospitals in the area? Are there good schools in the area? That's the whole purpose of, when you're buying a home, these are the things that you're looking for. So when it comes to that, yes, that's the intention, but at the same time, when the same community before white people were started to migrate back into these areas, because they were white areas prior to. So when they started to migrate back into those areas, all of a sudden now resources start coming into those areas. All of a sudden now funding starts coming back into the schools. All of a sudden grants and opportunities start to become supportive in a community that for 30 to 40 years was being neglected and overlooked or not presented the same level of resources. So, the nuances that are attached to this whole dynamic, are very clear and evident. If you were going to, when there were projects in Fort Greene, let's just utilize Fort Greene, Brooklyn as an example, because some of us are from New York and I lived in New York. So when the projects were there weren't nice what are those schools, magnet type schools in Dumbo area. Dumbo,
okay, so let me pause you. Let me pause you. We're well aware of what happens to neighborhoods when they're gentrified. We all know. So we don't have that. I know there's a Starbucks and a Whole Foods. We know all of that. I just wanted to stay on the point. I asked you, would you move into a ghetto neighborhood or a gentrified neighborhood? That's it. We know what happens with gentrification. We know what happens to the schools and all of that. So I don't want to go too far off. But you did say you'd move into the gentrified neighborhood because it's better for your family and your children. So with that said, Tristan,
yeah.
Tristan,
what happened?
I said, Tristan, you got anything before I throw it back to Haran? Because Haran, you had a question, right?
Yeah, I had a few things I had to say.
Okay.
It's a lot has been said. A lot is valid. Some invalid. I think. Well, first off, Miss Joanna, I'll be honored to join your show when you start your podcast. So I'll accept your invite. I don't know about Haran, even though, but I accept. And And Joanna does have a point because whether she's right or wrong, she has an opinion, and that's what conversation is. Like nobody should be attacked for having a conversation. Like she's not spewing hate. She's not wishing death on anybody. She said, "This is my opinion," and she's entitled to that. And as Americans, we should say, "Okay, let's explore that rabbit hole." I think
Absolutely.
that's fair.
Absolutely.
And for the gentrification, I'm iffy on it because it's at this era of time. Is it part of systematic racism? Maybe, but is it just okay? This is cheaper over here. I have the resources to build it up. I can't say it's systematic. Maybe it's a benefit of the systematic racism. I guess I can't see it as it being a sole racial thing at this point in time because it's everything neutralizes with the color green. If you have the money, people don't give two shits. You can be purple, orange. If you have the money, people are gonna come. I said you see these NFL owners, they hate these black players, but they like listen. You can catch, you can jump really high, so I'm going to cover up your little sexual assault. That's what they're gonna do. So it's money will always be the great equalizer, and that's just the times we live in. We just have to say, you know what, this is our value. This is what we can do as a people instead of, saying we need this, we need that. No, we can show. We've always engineered stuff. We've always been makeshift people. We can makeshift a whole new economy. We've done it with music, especially on YouTube, Black Twitter. I don't think people really talk about monetization on the internet until Black people made it viral. So we're just not capitalizing, and I don't know why.
So I'll pass the mic to Haran. I see Carrie here. He said 1 out of 1 million isn't equal opportunity. I don't know what country you live in, but there are many, many a millionaire black in this country. Many, not 1 in 1 million, many. Okay, and growing. Like I said, these kids are starting makeup lines online, black and brown, and they're making 6 figures. I know one personally who lives out here in Nevada. So it is not 1 in 1 million. And not only that, you use the word opportunity. I find it interesting because again, white people don't have to give you an opportunity. And if that is your mindset, then you're fucked to begin with. If you're waiting for a white person to give you an opportunity, you're dead in the water. You're dead in the water. But I'll pass the mic to Haran.
Yeah, I just want to say a few things. You know, now I'll just give many of you a heads up. The number of things I'm about to talk about might just trigger you, but it is what it is.
Buckle up, everybody.
Well, as a person who's worked in the industry before for many years, I will tell you this, and I've heard this in meetings. The average white executive doesn't deem rap consumers and rappers as that intelligent. And I don't think a lot of rap consumers and rap listeners deem themselves intelligent people. So it kind of works in tandem. Also, I also question that I think that a number of modern day rap artists they need to essentially ensure that the current toxic subject matter keeps flowing because I don't think they have anything else to offer outside of that subject matter. I don't think they're cultured enough to provide different perspectives on certain things. So I mean, come on now. I mean, when you have like a fourth grade education, how easy is it to just sit around and just talk about your pussy all day or talk about banging all day? I mean, you don't need any kind of depth or any kind of understanding of the world. You just need a very shallow and primal understanding of, just to some degree human behavior.
And a good
And
beat.
to
And a good beat.
and that's it. And that's pretty much it. And to Joanna's point, It's great that you made that point because I was going to say it too. I mean, we have a long history of selling each other out. Long history. You saw New Jack City. We got a long ass fucking
See it
history.
on YouTube, even with the Shanquella Robinson case, how people, they're like vultures picking off the meat off her bones.
Yeah,
Like,
we got a long history of that. You know what I
yeah.
mean? And uh, that in itself is a very layered conversation. I also want to state something though that I'm old enough to understand this, and I've been a hip hop head since I was 8 or 9 years old. Okay, and I was really here from damn near the beginning. Like you know what I mean? And rap was really some nerd shit in the beginning. It was really some nerd shit. I mean, it wasn't shoot 'em up, bang bang. It wasn't so on and so forth. It wasn't until there was, I wouldn't say a shift, but when the message dropped, then there was a subject matter. The subject matter of what's happening on the streets actually came to the table. But it wasn't glorification. It was just talking about, what I mean, what we were going through as a community. Now, to be honest with you, it was really NWA that took that shit to the next level. You know what I mean? And so-called gangster rap happened and so on and so forth. But again, that's a very later conversation. But I would just like to say that in the beginning, rappers were just music geeks, so on and so forth, and hood dudes were hood dudes. But back in those days, you gotta understand, there was no money in rap. There was money in the streets. So there was no gangster rappers. There was no money in rapping. There was money out here in the streets. The hard hitter crack, what I mean, going on and so on and so forth. Street dudes was out here getting real bread on the street. So why the fuck would they be out here rapping? It wasn't until a lot of that stuff dried up, then they say, well, let me go out here and be a rapper. You know what I mean? Just talk about, guess what? The shit I was doing out on the street before I became a rapper. So, what I mean? Again, that's another layered conversation. Now, here's the big thing that I've noticed, and I can attest to it. We can look at the, diaspora, and we can understand one thing. How different sects of black people feel about themselves has a lot to do how they were taught how slavery went down. I'll give you an example. Caribbeans, Jamaicans, we were taught that we fought back.
Mhm.
Black Americans weren't really taught that they fought back like that.
Mhm.
They were taught that they were subjugated. They were taught that they were, what I mean, there was a constant, there was a victim narrative being pushed. There's no victim narrative being pushed in, what I mean, Jamaican culture when we're being taught how slavery went down. And also, it's a black face telling us how slavery went down.
Mm.
Okay? Those things are
Very
also
true.
important.
I
Those
Very
agree.
things are
true.
also important. You know what I mean? And also, you know, when you leave and you walk out into the world, let's just take Jamaica, yeah, there's still classism there. There was still all these other things, but guess what? 9 times out of 10, what I mean, if I was poor living in Jamaica, yeah, I'm black. But if I bump into a rich person who lives in Jamaica, it's most likely another black person.
Mhm.
So subconsciously, I'm thinking to myself, the only difference between me and this person is what? Money.
Man.
And plus, what I mean, cultural pride and so on and so forth. Those things are instilled in people, what I mean, from the Caribbean. That's not often distilled, what I mean, instilled in Black Americans. Let's just keep it a buck.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So a lot of the self-worth, the lack of self-worth that a lot of Black Americans have, it's due to years and years and years of everyone basically saying, we're here and you're this. You're low level. You're a bottom feeder. That understanding and those ideas and that subconscious thinking, it's passed down generation to generation to generation to the point where if anyone even dares to even think of themselves as otherwise, to even think that they're able to fly, to think that they're able to improve, to think that they're able to escape and live a better life, they're not deemed as a quote unquote black person. And I'll say, and I'll just wrap it up right here with a few other things. First of all, let's just talk about immigration real quick. And let's just talk about the subject of slavery and free labor. No nation on this planet has ever been built without free labor. To some degree, some certain degree of slavery has gone down. You can go back to the Egyptians, you can do whatever you want, but some degree of free labor has gone down in order for the betterment of a civilization. Now, another thing with illegal, quote unquote, illegal immigration, that is a hot button topic. That's only for shits and giggles. Neither Democrats or Republicans will ever do anything about it because there's too much invested in that. Okay, they can get 30 Mexicans to do one job of one American for like 60% less on the dollar. These construction companies and so on and so forth, they're not going to give that up. And the last thing that I'm going to say here, man, is that one thing about immigrants, illegal or otherwise, 9 times out of 10, they don't ask to come over here. They come over here. They see the opportunity and they come over here. And they say, yo, I want that. And they come over here and they get that. And I can't be mad at it. Because if you're in your spot, if in your country where your ancestors built the shit, and it is old, you are owed something.
Mm-hmm.
I will not dispute that. But if you're willing to sit back and watch a bunch of people come from another world, another section of the world, and say that, hey, while he's sitting there griping about reparations, I'll do his job for damn near free. Who do you think he's gonna go with? He's gonna, you think he's gonna do you a solid? Be like, nah, we need to do those reparations for these guys because we're real nice people. Forget the fact that we, enslaved everyone and cut up babies and whipped them half to death and shoved our religion on them. At our core, we're real nice guys. So yeah, they're gonna do that. No, they're not. They're going to give carte blanche to these, illegal immigrants. They're going to give them a path. They're going to let them come through, and they're going to let them do what they do. And if you sit around and think that you're going to receive some degree of acknowledgement, and your only weapon is to basically slash your own nose to spite your face, you're just not going to win in that regard, man. And that's it.
No, Saint, I wanted to throw it back to you.
Yes, man. There's some great some great monologues going on here, which is awesome. I wholeheartedly agree with Heron. Did I say it right? Haran, right?
Yeah, Haran.
Okay.
No, you're white. He is wherever you tell him his name is. Okay, you run that, all right? No, I'm joking.
But
what's your name, Toby?
he was talking. Stop it. He was talking about when he was talking about the immigrants that are coming over here. Because I've always pushed back when people say, "Oh, they're coming over the border." I'm like, wait up. Why are you blaming them? Why don't you blame the companies and all the big farms that are hiring them? Because if they don't hire them, they wouldn't be coming over here. If they weren't giving them a way to make a living, they wouldn't be coming over here. Anyway, I did want to push back on Ish, but he made a lot of good. He came back and because I was going to say, listen, a lot of these places that are being gentrified are just like he said, like in New Orleans, it was probably majority white 70 years ago, right? And then it became the majority black, and now it's getting gentrified. But gentrification, I mean, that affects everybody. I mean, I can't live in the neighborhood I grew up in because of gentrification. If you think about it, I can't live in California. Like I was in Sacramento. I can't afford to live in Sacramento anymore. Why? It's because people see a cheaper property and they're like, I can get all that house for that. That's why all these states are getting flooded by Californians because they have millions of dollars and they're going to Texas and they're going to Idaho. They're gentrifying people out of those places. It's called looking at a deal. And then when he comes, I did do a quick search on this is one pushback when he talks about food deserts. I was curious if he thought that was systematic racism or not, because I immediately said, I wonder if that's a food desert in West Virginia. And sure enough, there's a food desert in West Virginia. It has to do with Whole Foods isn't moving to a place that people aren't going to be able to go and buy their products. Grocery stores are going to get like it's all comes down to money, because I always like going to West Virginia because that's where all the trailer trash white people live. Sorry if anybody here from West Virginia. I'm sure there some, not all, right? But anyway, I was curious about that. I was curious what I want to know what Ish's take on that is, if he thinks that's racism or is that just because of poverty, like, and which could be attributed to not having those resources he was talking about after slavery and everything.
It's an over consistent scenario when you look into the Black community of seeing the certain drive that there's certain businesses that exist, and I don't think it's just based upon the market, and that their market is they consume alcohol. Let's use alcohol as an example. They consume alcohol. So there's a liquor store every 2 or 3 blocks in the Black community, where in the Caucasian community, they can equally consume as much alcohol, but you don't find liquor stores in the white community as you do find in the Black community. And I say this across the country, not even just saying in just Los Angeles or New York. You can find that in Atlanta. There's just a different impetus that's placed in the Black community. I think that's by design. I think that there's considerations that are made for certain businesses to exist. And I lived in a community where that was much more empowered in East Orange, New Jersey, that had a strong Muslim citizenry. And they even created zones, and this was a group of African Americans that took charge of their community and did not allow pork to be sold in certain areas of that city. You could not get a license to have a restaurant, or if you sold pork. There were certain areas that were predominantly Muslim based that they would not allow that. So there's an aspect of when a community that has a sense of self starts to take control of its environment and doesn't continue to be moved around like dust. And I find that that's what's happening with us as African Americans or Black people in America. We have a tendency, because we lack a sense of identity. And once we achieve that sense of identity, then do we start making aggressive decisions in relationship to our communities. Just like you don't see a gentrification happening in Chinatown or in Koreatown, because they're established communities with an established identity that supports itself. So, I do believe it's by design, in answer to your question.
Well, I know living in the Bronx, Fordham Road, our little shopping district, Magic Johnson put a Starbucks out there, and everybody's, it's Starbucks, and then it closed down rather quickly because no one over there wanted to pay $8 for a cup of coffee. So when we talk about food deserts, let's say, yay, let's throw Whole Foods up in the South Bronx, right? Let's take out the liquor stores, let's remove the liquor stores, throw the Starbucks in there and the Whole Foods. Who from my old neighborhood is going to go into a fucking Starbucks and pay $8 to $10 for a cup of coffee? It's not happening. Who's paying $25 for a steak or a pound of chopped meat? It's not happening. So, I mean, the food has to fit the community too. Can't just throw in a Starbucks because white people have a Starbucks and then nobody's buying coffee. Like Magic Johnson's spot closed down. It was gone. And I think I know why he put it there, because it was near Fordham University, and Fordham University has a lot of white students. So he was probably thinking, I'll put, the Starbucks here and it'll be a come up. But the Fordham University students, the white folk, did not want to walk to Fordham Road, which was predominantly Black and Latin.
They didn't want to die.
Exactly.
What it is.
Exactly.
Just call it what it is, Jay. Just call it what it is, Jay.
Exactly. And with that said, it wouldn't have been safe for them on Fordham Road.
I mean,
I
that's
don't want to go on
interesting.
Fordham Road.
Huh?
Just
I didn't want to go on Fordham Road back in the days. I remember one time before, man, I was dating a chick out there. She's like, yeah, I'm on Fordham Road. I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. Meet me at a train station, baby. Meet me at a train station, baby.
Listen, Fordham Road at night could get a little stressed.
Yeah, I was like, yo, I ain't pussy, but just saying.
Well, why risk my life, pussy or not?
Exactly.
Them white girls are not walking in their Uggs to Fordham Road to get nobody Starbucks. They're not gonna do it.
that only happened to me one time. It was a girl I was talking to. She says, I live on a place, some place called Dykeman, something like that. Something
Oh,
said,
that's Dominican territory.
something said Google it. I Googled it. I said, yo, I can't. My tires are jacked up. I can't make it.
Y'all ain't coming to see us in the hood. See how I feel
Nah,
bad.
man.
Why y'all ain't
Well, it's really the irony of me saying that is that when I lived in Brownsville, I invited a woman over, and she was like, "Nah, I'm not going to no Brownsville." She was like, "I'm not going to no Brownsville, champ. You gonna have to."
She said the champ.
She said,
And
"Nah, I ain't going out there."
She said, nah, champ.
You know what? When I thought about it, because I ain't gonna lie, the area of Brownsville I lived, I think it was Rutland, and it was kind of heavy blood territory. So I was like, you know what? She got a point.
I'm so grateful that Brother Ish brought up the conversation about the food deserts and how when gentrification occurs, then comes the Starbucks and the Whole Foods and the good stuff, the stuff that we want. I'm grateful that he brought this conversation up because it allowed for points that Haran just made and No Saint just made and Jen just made. Because before, um, I just presumed that some, not all, Black people just don't understand how free market works, how economics work. But now I see that a lot of us, at least if we're doing, a demographic based on this panel, we do get it. I only got a C in economics at university. So I have a very, very average understanding. But I would say to Brother Ish, if you understand capitalism, if you understand economics, what would be the point of me spending the millions of dollars that would go into putting a Whole Foods into? I'm not sure about all the different boroughs and different places in New York and all that, but think about your worst area, economically depressed area that's so-called Black. What would be the point of putting a very expensive operation in the community, Brother Ish, if the people can't afford it? Your language that you spoke about, it's almost like you think that when you say gentrification happens, as if those people are putting those stores in there for the good of the people. They're putting those stores there when they do that to make money. America is about making money. It's not for the greater good. The greater good is something that your NOI does, or some church group or something. But these operations are there to make money. And a lot of times, if you put it in those economically depressed areas, Brother Ish, they don't make money. The people there can't afford it. Now, I know you may come back and say, well, why can't they afford it? They're being, systemically depressed or, as an aggregate. I understand that, but, you know, nobody makes who at some point it doesn't choice have to be involved. nobody makes somebody, not go to school and learn, STEM, or, any of the tech, industries. Nobody makes you, there's no slavery going on. We have free will. And so if you can't afford something, like Jen said, make yourself afford it, or whoever said it, make the money. um, Other communities, the immigrants that come in, they're pulling their money together to buy that little bodega or that liquor store or whatever. Black people can do the same. I just don't buy the argument that, we're just so oppressed, and other people are coming into the neighborhood and they're doing all this. Anything that they're doing, we can do, but we don't. See, and like I said, I only got a C in economics, but I understand a little bit about supply and demand. And I'm not going to put a business in an area where the people aren't, going to afford it. I live in a sector of Arkansas where it's mostly white people because that's where the money is. My father's like, when you going to come
Well,
home, bring your business down there. And it's like, the black people down in my neighborhood where I grew up, they can't afford what I'm selling. So why would I do that, brother Ish?
so I would say in response to that, there I agree with you on the dynamic of a Whole Foods, but there are considered options in relationship to that are not as on a high price point. It's also the factor that I've seen examples of, and black people can do this. So I'm not in disagreement to you on that point. I believe that we can do it. I've seen it. There's a restaurant. There's a health food restaurant and store that exists in South Central LA, on the west side of South Central, called Simply Wholesome. Been a long-standing business in the black community. Does a lot of holistic and meets all the price points of Whole Foods. It has evolved to that level, and are very, 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 very extremely successful. So I would gauge to say that they can average probably a good 150, $200,000 a week, maybe even more. I mean, I don't know what they're making, but they do very well, and they're in South Central LA, and they've been there for over 20 years. And they started with the concept of, we're going to provide this for our community and for ourselves, and they made whatever sacrifices they needed to make. They were a niche operation, and they evolved into a grander scale where they were able to buy a restaurant from across the street, build it out, and now it's one of the premier institutions of healthy eating and food consumption and holistic lifestyle in South Central LA, and it's been highlighted on Issa Rae's show. So yes, it can be done, and there are other stores and restaurants across the country that I've experienced that have done that. It can be done and is done. But the dynamic is that when you have these fast food institutions who make millions of dollars in the black community, that means that there is money there. McDonald's does very well, even though the price points are low. They do very, 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 very well as far as their turnover when it comes to money. So money is coming from somewhere, that these institutions continue to exist. They're just there in abundance. And that's the issue that I'm talking about. And that's generally by design. They have relationships with the city council, with the city halls, and they cut deals that block people out. And the small businessman that's trying to do something different in the community doesn't always get those loans. And that's where redlining comes in. So there are dynamics at play, is my point. And it's not always this nefarious kind of, the big bag white man is out there and we don't have to do business with him. True, I agree with it. I mean, I live by that standard. But I'm also pointing out that we are a community that has additional factors that are there that are also preying upon us. And all I do is point those points out.
So to piggyback off of what Joanna said, I have to agree with her about the supply and demand. Last time I lived in New York, I was on Davidson and Burnside Avenue in the Bronx. Okay. I outgrew the neighborhood. Every corner, forget the liquor store. In 1 block radius, it's nail salon, Korean hair shop, nail salon, Korean hair shop, nail salon, Korean hair shop, Chinese food place, chicken spot. And they were continuously popping up and popping up. I mean, there was a nail shop on every fucking corner, in between the corners, on the blocks of the neighborhoods, right? So it's supply and demand. I couldn't walk past there on a weekend. Them girls were waiting outside to what? To get their nails done. Now, I'm not buying hair bundles. I'm not getting my nails done every 2-3 days. I'm like, so it became a desert for me all the way around. I wanted the Whole Foods. I wanted the Starbucks, right? So I had to remove myself from that situation. I'm like, but when does it get to the point where we realize that now it's getting more and more stupid and ridiculous for people to blame white people for their condition, right? Because now we're going into 2023, and so many Black people are making strides and becoming millionaires and billionaires and opening up their own businesses. Like, when are we going to realize that some motherfuckers, like, there's just a level to shit, and some people will forever be at the bottom, regardless of gentrification or systemic oppression or racism? When are we going to realize that some people will always fucking be at the bottom, whether they're Asian, white, Black, or Latin? Every race or ethnicity I just said, they all have their ghetto. White people have a lot of white trash that live in trailer parks. They all fucking smoke meth, and they all his cousin, okay? And those are bad areas. They're killing each other over meth. Houses are blowing up. Asians, when you go to Chinatown, those people are fucking poor. Chinatown stinks in New York City. It fucking stinks. When you get out the subway, you know you've hit Chinatown, right? Same thing with Black neighborhoods. Same thing with a Dykeman. Same thing with Puerto Rican neighborhoods. Like, when are we just going to come to the realization some of these motherfuckers, despite racism and systemic oppression and redlining, some motherfuckers just don't do life well. They just, that's their level. And not only that, and I don't even want to say don't do life well, because that's their comfort level. Who am I to say you're supposed to want more and you don't have more because of the white man? They're comfortable. Should I have Puerto Rican relatives that have been in the same fucking Bronx apartment, no lie, for 40 fucking years? 40 fucking years. And when given the opportunity, hey, I got a way you can move out of here, get you a house in Florida. My mother fucking did it. Okay? She had the opportunity. My dad was like, let's get a house here. Let's get a house there. My dad bought a house in Florida. Hey, get on out. Let's leave this Bronx apartment. My mother was like, That apartment is going on 40 fucking years now. It's gone down in the generations in my family. Some people are just comfortable, right? So we're getting to the point where now blaming white people looks absolutely fucking ludicrous now. There's no more excuse. And there's only one Black. We got Black presidents. We got Black billionaires. We got teenagers that are making millions and 6 figures off of TikTok and YouTube. Like, it's starting to sound more and more and more stupid. Okay, you got liquor stores on every corner. Do you have to go drink? Do you have to go buy the liquor? The Koreans are taking over our neighborhoods. Do you have to go buy hair from them? Do you have to go? The Vietnamese people are killing in the nail shops. All Vietnamese, all up and down the hood, opening up businesses where they redlined. It's supply and demand. They put those nail shops there. Those nail shops are packed. And guess who packs them? Black Latinas. Packed. Okay? Packed. You can't walk past there because all the shit that's going on there. All right? Every time I got home from work, the pass by in the nail salons. Black women, Latina women. Ain't got shit else, but they got them nails for $40 a pop every 2 or 3 weeks.
Wait, they $40?
When are we just gonna accept That's how people are. And that's their concern. If you go to a trailer park, maybe their shit is meth. I gotta get this meth. I gotta get this meth. I need this meth. In our neighborhoods, this I gotta get this Henny for the weekend and these blunts and my nails done. When are we gonna accept that? That's just how some people are, and it has a fuck to do with racism. Because we see it in every race and ethnicity. So that's my only point. When are we gonna stop playing this violin? Whoa, 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 woe is us. If it wasn't
Yo, she's stupid.
I love you, Jen.
When are we gonna let that go? We sound stupid now at this point. It sounds dumb.
And I live in a white area, and there's 3 liquor stores within a mile radius when you go to either direction. There's 3 liquor stores. It's mostly white people here. I hardly ever see any black people at all in my area. And so, for what that's worth, I know that's my own little, anecdotal experience, but somebody has to push back on some of this. That's all I'm saying.
And as far as a church on every corner, who's in those churches and who's capitalizing off them churches? Who makes the most
Not me.
church?
Not me.
Right?
I just want to say something about the churches. It just seems very odd to me because it's like, like I said, I already said how much money that the church actually generates per year. And one of the things that it just does, it doesn't help with, it soothes the sickness. That's what I'll just say. And it's just so funny how that tends to work and keeps us, it effectively keeps us in this constant loop. And if we're kept in this constant loop, we don't do things like take control of our own communities, and we don't do things like clean up our own brand. And if we don't clean up our own brand, then guess what's happened? Guess what happens? Well, our communities are basically able to be purchased for cheap because everywhere we go, we bring down the property value. Now that sounds like systemic racism in many ways. And are people helping with it because they're getting a cut of that? Don't think for a second though. I think that's a lot. I think a lot of us never stop to think about. Yeah, there's systemic racism, but there's also a lot of black people getting their cut.
Yep.
Sounds
Thank
like
you.
you're selling us out, Haran. Sounds like you're selling us out.
Listen, when you look at
I concur.
black record labels or the moguls, whether it's Dre or 50 Cent, look at what they do with their power. Literally, pun intended, with 50 Cent. Look at the shows he's putting out now that he's in that position of power.
Thank you.
Look at the shows that the Zeus Network is putting out now that he has that power.
And see, Jen,
Mona Scott. Look at the shows that Mona Scott put out now that she's in that power.
and I always say, sometimes I feel like the what needs to be looked at, or what I feel sincerely, is that some, not all, black people, they really want the right to be. They don't want equality and justice. They want the right to be the oppressor. They want the right to do the same thing. If you give them the same, if the world was as what brother Haran, and I hope you understand, I'm not attacking you. What I'm pushing back on are your points of view, not about you, because I respect a man who gets married like my father did and raises a family in a respectable way. That's what my father does, and that's what he still does. And I have so much respect for you. So I'm just pushing back on these points that I don't feel are working for the majority of the people. But I sincerely feel what some, not all, want is the ability to do what the white man has done. They don't want things to be better. They just want to be the ones to be able to do it. Because when, like Jen said, when they find themselves in a position with the money to do something, what do? They put out the same thing that the so-called colonizers put out. Okay?
I humbly agree with that. I mean, Jen and I have had many conversations. When I've literally said that I don't think a lot of black people have a problem with oppression. I think they have a problem with being oppressed. I've said that dozens of times, and those are not the same things. Like if we take into account, all right, the first Black Panther movie, and Killmonger being this great, awesome character. I don't think it was that awesome, but whatever, what I mean. But
Hey,
the
hey.
the point of it, I thought Thanos was a much better, more nuanced character. Anyway, what I mean. The point that I'm making here is that what he was preaching and bringing to the table was just imperialism, and imperialism just pretty much with a sprinkle of childhood trauma and a sprinkle of revenge porn here, but imperialism nonetheless. And a whole lot of black people was like, "Yeah, I'm for that." But wait a minute, I thought it was about equality. I thought it was about and which the opposing character T'Challa, he was a little bit more about being being a little bit more noble and democratic and diplomatic and so on and so forth. They weren't really for that. It was just like, yo, we want blood, yeah, and it is what it is. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I probably would have been on Killmonger's team myself, but honest. I'm honest about that.
I
Because at the
love
end of the
that.
what I mean? Because at the end of the day, it's player versus player.
Yep.
Okay, there's nothing more brutal than nature, and nature is the jungle. I think man has really fooled himself into believing that just because he has awareness, it means that he left the jungle. No, he didn't make the jungle. He created his own jungle. That's it. It's the jungle nonetheless, though.
I would like to say in advance, no saint. I apologize on Haran. It looks like you're the first person on the list. Okay, so so when the takeover happens, you better. He's coming for you. He just
No, no,
said it
no.
so suddenly.
Oh,
That was
wait a minute, Tristan. You don't think he's on my list too? It's
Oh,
whoever
oh,
gets him first.
I got a
Uh,
feeling. I got a feeling you're gonna
well,
make us do the stuff so you can just be scot free because we're so
It's
much
whoever
simpler
gets
than
no
you.
saint first.
yeah, I think there's some. I think every black person has that one white person that they'll give a 20-minute head start. I think I mean.
yeah,
I think every black person has that one white person be like, yeah, just Jim's cool. Let the family get in the hatchback.
like
And I'm watching my watch, Haran. I'm watching my watch. You said 15 minutes.
Exactly.
I love how Jen spoke about, there's degeneracy in every group because in my business, I attempted to hire, and I don't use this word because I just love calling people degenerates, but it's just the best word to describe the kind of person I'm talking about. I attempted to hire a so-called white degenerate. He begged me for a job. He's walking around, he's homeless. I was willing to pay him $13 an hour to come in and do some work for me on my food trailer, and he didn't show up. The same thing with a black man. Now he wasn't homeless, but he's riding around on a bicycle, and I offered him some work. He did do the work, and I offered him, a job. He didn't show back up the next day. Did racism make him not come to work for that $14 an hour, brother Ish? I'm a so-called black woman. Did racism what stopped him from coming back and getting that he did a little extra work. He did a little overtime. So he got $140 for that day. He had no job. He's riding around on a bicycle. What made him not come back? You see what I'm saying? We can't keep pointing a finger outwards when you got three coming back at you. And it's almost like some people don't want to accept that exists, that there's a minority mindset that exists among some of us, not all, not all, not all, not all. I love my people, brother Ish, but there's a mindset there, and that mindset is it, like Jen said, is in with when most cultures. White people got those people too. This white man did not even show back up. I offered him a job. I'm paying him money. All he had to do is show up, and he could have gotten paid. And he's walking around, in the cold and the snow. He could have had some money. He's asking
Well,
me for food, and I fed him for free without him even
well,
being hired. I fed him.
let me
Go
interject
ahead.
right there. I mean,
Go
the
ahead.
again, of course, there's poor in every strata of society across this planet,
But
and
speak to the racism. Where is the
when
racism
we talk,
involved?
I'm going to speak to that. Again, the condition that our people are in relationship to the historic dynamic that takes place within undereducated, underfunded, underfinanced, underemployed, in areas where there were economic opportunities, there has always been black growth. Prime example, Detroit, when Ford and all those motor companies were thriving, there was a one of the wealthiest black communities existed in the state of Michigan and Detroit. When those factories moved out, and it, Detroit
Brother Ish.
plummeted.
Brother Ish, I'm
So
an
hold
old
on, hold on,
broad,
hold on, hold on,
and
hold
I
on.
don't have a whole lot of time. I'm just an old broad.
I'm already like,
Can you tell me why the black man was it racism that kept him from not coming back and accepting the job I offered him?
I mean, it could be, and when I say racism, I'm not talking about that there's some nefarious white man standing there, but we can go through the years of whatever he may have been undereducated, his self-esteem, but there's a whole layer of stuff that
well, let
that
me jump in real
racism
quick.
or
Let me
white
jump in real quick.
supremacy. Hold on. Let me talk about it now. Hold on.
I want to jump in because I also want to
She
address
asked
something
me a
around said.
question. I'm gonna answer the question.
But you answered it. You said it's because his low self-esteem, systemic racism. Maybe when he was 5 years old, the white teacher told him he was always going to be in it. We got it. We got it. But we got to move on. Okay. Respectfully. Because I also want to address something Haran said. And we're going on to 3 hours now. So I don't want to hear what happened in Detroit. Respectfully. I do want to say that, yes, racism exists. Systemic oppression exists. What I'm saying today, now going into 2023, is using that as a fucking excuse is making us look more and more and more fucking stupid. That's what I'm saying. Just down to brass tacks. Just let's take the short yellow bus. 1+1=2. Let's not make it algebra. I'm saying going into 2023, for black and brown people to be complaining that they can't do something because white people exist is making us look more and more and more fucking stupid in the year 2023. Just look stupid. You just look stupid. If I run into anybody who's black or Latin, well, if we were in a bondage, you look stupid to me. That's what you do. I'm gonna give you the New York, you look stupid, right? Going back to something Haran said, which I thought was so poignant when he said black people are oppression, they're mad about how did you say it? Because it's late, Haran, but I want to address what you said.
What I was saying that is that a lot of black people really aren't mad at oppression. They just don't want to be oppressed.
Okay, so with that point, a lot of black people aren't mad at oppression. They don't want to be oppressed. Here's the thing. When we look at these Jewish or white people pumping out this quote unquote destructive music to us, to our people, right? We call that systemic oppression and racism. Look how they doing us. Look how they portraying us in these movies. We're always the maids, we're the butlers, the Latinas are the maids, the black guys are the drug dealers, and we're always that. That's what we are. We play the hookers, all right? Look at how those white people doing us, right? But then going back to Haran's point, when these people are in power with the same media, they do the same thing. As a matter of fact, the man who wasn't doing it, Tyler Perry, and used church, gets berated by black people. Tyler Perry doesn't get berated by white people. He gets berated by black people for being corny, for not being funny, for being in a dress, for not portraying black people the way they should be portrayed. Tyler Perry gets berated 50 Cent puts out 3 drug dealer shows and gets celebrated. He has the 3 #1 shows watched in Black households. Mona Scott is cakey off of reality shows. So going back to Haran's point, you're not really mad at oppression. You're mad at not wanting to be oppressed because look, when you have the power, you do the same thing. Why aren't people coming down on Zeus Network, Black people? Why aren't they saying you're oppressing us by showing us in that light? Why? By showing Black women rolling around, throwing drinks at each other, you are oppressing us like the colonizer. Why isn't that happening? Why isn't that happening? Because they're Black. So it proves Haran's point. Are you really mad at oppression? Are you really?
Has anyone ever read the book Animal Farm?
Yes.
Yes.
That is a prime example of human nature.
Exactly. Thank you.
You have right there the farmer was the government. It was the system of oppression. And when the animals gather and they got rid of the farmer, the understanding was that we were going to get rid of this toxic element and have a fair and just society. But that didn't necessarily happen because the pigs took over. Well, the pigs didn't take over. One pig took over, and another pig, I believe Snowball was his name, he basically was cast out or killed, or it's been a long time. I read it when I was like 8. But anyway, the point of the matter is this.
I gotta read that.
Oh yeah, it's a great movie. I mean, excuse me. Well, it wasn't made into a movie also, but it's a great book. But the point of the matter is this.
Yeah, the book is much better.
We always say.
Oh damn! Nak Meezy's up here to close the show out.
we always say we're going to leave our parents home and not do the same shit. And the moment we have kids, we pretty much do the same shit our parents, did to us. And that's just human nature.
I think, and here's the thing that gave it away: the cat's out the bag. Now that we see Black people have media power, look at what they're doing. So the cat's out the bag.
Exactly.
But
the
Jen,
cat's out the bag. Before it was the white man putting these images of us on TV. Look how the white media is doing us. But now look at how the Black moguls are doing us in media. The cat's out the bag. Can't use that as an excuse anymore. Nak Meezy, what say you? I saw you say.
Oh man, I love these type of topics, man. At my detriment, my parents raised me to not fear the white man, but like the white man was, Zeus, and we couldn't do nothing because the white man, and that thing right there stopped my growth. Honestly, I come to the realization now that, like you said, there are poor people and ignorant people in every race and ethnicity. I don't believe that Black Americans, my people that I love so much, should be worrying about competing with jobs with new immigrants. What? We've been in that country so long, we should be way ahead. And for my people who talk or still speaking about equality, you want to be equal? If you want to be equal, you will always be last. You have to strive for what? Supremacy. Okay. Apple and Samsung, they don't compete to be equals. That's why Apple keeps rocking Samsung's ass, pause, and Samsung just came back. You have to try to be the best. I have a group that invests in the Black community, right? Blacks in Africa, Blacks in America. And I'm going to tell you, I've been pissing in the ocean for the past 3 years. Now I'm very selective. I don't take anyone just because they're Black and they need help. No, you have to have shown me that you're at least trying to do something. I used to pay for people's, help them get started in a trade and pay for their training. I don't do it anymore. I reimburse them. Get it first, and then I'll reimburse you, and then I'll get you a job. But it's the mentality, people. If you keep thinking that the white man can hold you down and systematic this and ray that, you're always going to be a loser. There's no reason why Vietnamese people that came after the Vietnamese War have shops that we lining up in and they getting money, getting a bag, while we still complaining about the white man. Look, racism exists. But if you're a Black American or if you're Puerto Rican who's been there, and when I say Puerto Ricans, I mean Puerto Ricans. They've been in America, especially in New York, for a long time. And you still complain about El Blanquito and the white man, then you're a loser. There's too much money out here to be made for us to be blaming a white man. Systemic racism, I eat that. That's never going to stop me from getting my money. I'm out here in Europe right now with all these racist white people. What do? We don't have to reinvent the wheel. You can look over their shoulder on a test and cheat. Who started the Industrial Revolution? A Western European white man. So where do I come to learn it? Here. That's all. It's about money. And if your client base ain't got no money, guess what? Your business is gonna fail. So stop looking at the white man as some goddamn Thanos. Get your money, get educated, and get trained. And don't teach your kids to be afraid of success.
Woo! Okay,
Amen. Amen. Bravo.
with that said, it's funny. Speaking of Puerto Ricans, Bad Bunny is the biggest artist on the planet right now. You know what he was quoted as saying, and it went viral? But he said it in Spanish. I'm going to say it in English for my audience. He said in Spanish, that thing that we do where we talk about the white man being a god has to stop. Bad Bunny right now is the biggest artist in the world, global. He's all over the world. But look at his attitude. He literally said that thing that we do where we make white people gods has to stop. And look at where his attitude got him. There's no excuse. He didn't grow up, Bad Bunny didn't grow up rich. He grew up in the slums of Puerto Rico. But that's when you have that mentality, there's no limits. And that's why I loathe the white man. White man's out there. He out there. The Vietnamese people, they all own the nail shops in my last neighborhood. So you're looking more and more stupid as you talk about this white monster under the bed. I refuse to do it. Respectfully, no saint. Y'all ain't shit to me.
You have no power over us, no saint.
You ain't stopping me from shit. Now you, your brothers, and nobody. I don't care how many banks you own. I don't care what media you own. You're not going to stop me from doing what the fuck I want to do.
And that is the mentality that pushed the Europeans to where they are today.
Facts.
And that's the mentality that I'm hoping to have on my new podcast. If I can ever find the time to be able to do it, that's the mentality that I want to push. You know, because there's a minority mentality that is just not working. I mean, I just want to say, how is that working for you? Pulling my Dr. Phil, how's that working for us? It's not. So change.
Yo, can I give some of my people some actual tips to change that mentality? I'm at work for my biggest client, right? And I used to be their employee until I flipped the script, and now they're my client, one of my clients, my biggest one. Now, I'm here. I don't start my work until 7:15. It's 6:19. I've been here since 6 a.m. I don't leave here until an hour after my work is done. So when I come early and leave late, what do? I increase, my earning potential by 20% every single month because I get jobs that are priorities. No one else here? Hey, guess what? Nakmeezy's here. Go grab them. Yeah, and then you get it. So I've taught my children that on time is the new late and early is the new on time. You have to be there to be able to get it. And that right there, just getting to work or getting to your clients on time, providing excellent customer service, teaching your employees the importance of internal customer service, because those little riffs and the fighting behind the counter in Popeyes is eventually going to affect your sales and the image of your business. But I could cook all day on this, but it's time to get money. Thank you, Jen. Thank you, panel. I'm gonna see y'all another time. Peace.
Take care,
Thank you, Nick.
So, yeah, and easy. I was just gonna say, the people like Neezy, and I've got friends like that too that are very highly. Well, my wife is very highly motivated, very detail oriented, and she runs circles around whomever she's working around. But those people, that's a trait. And not everybody's going to have that trait. Not that it's not available, but that is a trait, and you're born with it or you're not. And, you know, I got 3 kids, and one of them's an honor student. One of them, I got to pull his teeth to do work. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, sometimes you're just born with stuff. So, but what I want,
that some kids are born in the best families and they turn out to be fuck ups.
That's true.
Who do you blame?
Jen, but I wanted to say about, you were talking about when some people like Zeus, you know, they get their own power, and then what do they put out? We all know sex and violence sells. And what you find out is, you know, nobody's watching the OWN network. I mean, they don't have high ratings, right? I mean, when people try to put highbrow stuff, that's why I'm saying, like, you might have good intentions to come out there and say, I'm going to do this. And then you look at, oh, hell, I'm not going to get any advertisers. I better put some crap out. People are looking for that degenerate stuff. I mean, that's what really sells. I mean, violence and sex.
Tyler Perry became a $1 billion mogul with that church shit.
Who's that?
Tyler Perry. With content that people think was corny and tacky and not written well and too soft and unrealistic, and he became a billionaire doing it. Right. So it's possible. But he also used the black check, which is a big money maker.
Facts.
I think one also has to take into account, you have to know your market, man. That's the first thing you have to know. You have to know your market. And another thing too, for me personally, the core of my motivation comes from my relationship with loss or losing. I am a terrible loser. I you know, if I lose at something, it literally keeps me up at night. You know what I mean? I gotta win. I gotta improve. I gotta get that. I gotta, you know what I mean? You know, if there's money being made out here, you know what I mean? I'm thinking like, well, why the fuck I don't got a piece of this? You know what I mean? I'm not sitting there, you know, talking about like, how can I get a piece of this? No, I'm asking, why don't I have a piece of this? You know what I mean? Where is it? You know what I mean? I want a piece of that. You know what I mean? I want to know, you know what I mean, who I got to talk to make sure that I can get some of that in my pocket, because I'm not the type to sit here and, you know, I don't hate from outside the club, because eventually I'm trying to get inside the club, you know what I mean, and own the club. You know what I mean? There's levels to the whole situation. So I'm not the type of person to, like, you know, if there's something I want in life, whatever it is, whoever it is, I'm going after it. That's me.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying. Like, you could, like, Neezy could show everybody on the panel and every black person, every white person, how it's done. You're still only going to have a certain percentage that's going to be willing to take that, to make that effort and put in that work. It's just not everybody's built, you know, the way you are and the way he is, and that's just the way it is.
Well,
yeah, but I would say that, you know, a lot of times the people that we sometimes write off as degenerates are actually some of these hardworking entrepreneurial individuals that they actually that exist. You know, you see somebody like, let's say, 50 Cent, who was you know, a blight in the community because he was selling drugs and he was, you know, thugging and doing all the criminal activity. But that same drive that he was applying towards negativity, he then applied towards, you know, his creative career in music and his entrepreneurial mind in when it comes to production as far as film and television, and he's incredibly successful. So I mean, we may not agree with the content and how it's propagated, but at the end of the day, his drive, even though he was a degenerate, really is a testimony to what potentially had once he had a different product to sell. Instead of crack, he now had music and film.
Wait a minute. So wait.
And he had a different mentality. White man did not stop him.
Right.
Make sure you end with that.
Well, let me qualify this, because a lot of people, hold on, let me qualify this, because when I say that, I'm just pointing out a perpetrator. I'm not saying that the white man stops and he's all powerful, that you can't do something. What I am doing is pointing out a perpetrator, because many times we tend to blame our own people and our own community without addressing the source of the problem. So when we address the source, then can we turn and start working towards a solution. So it's not
The
saying
source
that he's
started
all
in
powerful, we
Africa.
can't do something.
Technically, it did.
No,
The source
started in Europe that
the
went
source
that
started
went
in
to
Africa.
But the source, but
started
here's the
in
thing,
Europe
the
and went to
source,
Africa.
but the source is not worse than the motherfucker who lives next door to you who put a bullet in your head for your Jordans. The source is not worse than that. You can't convince me that the source, right? The source is worse than that. So continuing to perpetuate and teach people that the source is the problem is a big fucking mistake, because the source can only put stumbling blocks down. It's up to you to navigate around them. The people
absolutely, and once you stop glamorizing the source and you start to identify and look towards self, that's when you change your condition, and that's what I'm saying.
But the thing with church and religion and people who want to kumbaya with the degenerates, right? They make the white person, like Bad Bunny said, the god of all evil. When the god of all evil is usually your fucking next door neighbor, that fucking degenerate. So it's stupid to teach, in my opinion. In my opinion, it is stupid to teach. And 50 Cent is an outlier, like they say. Let's not forget there are black men who've never sold crack who are now billionaires and moguls. Let's not forget we got Don Peebles and Robert Smith and Byron Allen.
Of course, I was using a different example. So we're having two different conversations when you're talking about the one versus the other. I was using an example of somebody who was considered a degenerate and how when his product was shifted, he became a productive individual in society. That was my point. It wasn't the point that's the only source and only individual.
Yeah, but when somebody, but here's the thing, and I got a beef with 50. I worked with 50, very professional human being. But someone would say he's just a rich degenerate now. He's constantly berating women on his Instagram page. He's showing he's beefing with his son, his firstborn son, all over social media. He's putting out content that's about degeneracy. So you're talking like 50 from the hood turned into Bill Cosby. And I mean the Bill Cosby before the rape, but you know what I mean. Or 50 from the hood turned into Byron Allen. No, 50 is still 50. He just got more money and more eyes on him. So what are you saying? Like that's a horrible, in my opinion, example.
The only good example is Jay-Z, because he got his money and disappeared. You rarely hear from that man. I said he got with them white people and said, listen, I don't know them. Dame, I don't know who a Dame Dash is. I've never heard of that name. I mean, you have a photo, Jay.
But you know what, though? It's funny you should say that about Jay-Z, because I recall that there was a moment, and this is footage, and there was a moment where Jay looked like he done had enough of the motherfuckers. And they was hollering, and you know what I'm talking about, right? They're hollering, they're just doing all kinds of, I'll just say it, nigga behavior behind him. And you just see the look on his face where he's just like, this ain't me anymore, man.
And here's the thing, and the reason why I wanted, and listen, Brother Ish, you're entitled to your opinion. We all are. The reason why I'm just pushing back a little bit is because we look at money, right, and fame as, look, the degenerate changed. Cardi B to me is still a fucking degenerate. It's just now she can affect and influence more people than she was in the Bronx. Now she can tell more black and brown women, strip, fuck for money, do this, do that, promote your man who's talking about killing other black men. So let's not confuse fame and money with you're no longer a degenerate because you're rich now, Cardi B. She still promotes the blood gang, okay? She still promotes prostitution. She still promotes stripping on every fucking single fucking bar. We gotta hear she was a stripper. We know, Cardi. We fucking know you were selling ass. We know. So let's not. Oh well, look, she was a degenerate one time. Look at her. She's a productive human being now. Really?
I agree with you on the Cardi B dynamic. I only utilize 50 just as an example, but there are much more when it comes to individuals who have come from a degenerate lifestyle and have become productive individuals in
Well, yeah, that's
society.
true.
So
I agree with that. I just think that 50 was a bad choice. That's all. I agree with that. I agree
but
that.
I can submit to that truth, and I can submit, and I definitely would never use Cardi B as an example for anything other than, a whole hustler. If you want to just address the truth.
We know Malcolm existed. We know Malcolm was a degenerate and then became, you know what I mean, a global icon. But I'm like, a lot of these people, they get famous and they get more money and they do more
That's
damage.
exactly the footage. That's exactly the footage.
Yeah, you see it, right?
You know,
Hey Jen,
I know I had it somewhere on my computer.
Yeah,
hey
Joanna, we're
Jen,
gonna close out.
I gotta get up early, and I just want to say thank you. Thank you for your words of wisdom to me earlier, and I want to let you know that I received that, and I respect it, and I'm gonna carry it with me. And I want to say to the rest of the panel, thank you so much for this conversation. And I particularly want to say to Brother Ish, because I have felt alone, I don't want you to feel that. I want you to know, Brother Ish, that I see you. I have so much respect for you, and I can hear the love that you have. And I just want to let you know again, I want to reiterate that I'm not against you. It's just some of the points that you make. For me, in my opinion, just an opinion. It's not a fact because we're still here. We're still living. This thing is not over, so we won't know. The people after us will know. But I just want to let you know that I'm not against you per se. I don't know you, but what I can ascertain from your character is that you're a great man, and I respect that, and I love that, and I appreciate you. And I hope you don't feel alone, and I hope you don't feel like I have attacked you in any way. I'm just I'm just a strong chick. I was raised by a black man by himself. My mother's not really involved. And so I know that you're a father and you're married and you're very intelligent. And I admire that because those are the qualities that my father has. And I just want to reiterate that I'm not against you personally. If you leave tonight with that, please know that I am your friend. I have so much love and respect for you, for all of you. And with that, thank you all so much for hearing me. Thank you for your points. Uh, I'm going to go and get this bag in the morning. So I'm going to sign off tonight. And I wish you all very well in your endeavors and your labors. God bless you.
Thank
have a
you,
lovely
Joanna.
evening.
You're
Appreciate
welcome,
it.
Joanna.
Good night, Joanna.
Thank you so much. All right, guys, we are
Thank
out
you,
of here.
Joanna.
Brothers, I thank you, Joanna. Anyone has any pod team as this? I feel like the who was that Asian chick? Was it Lucy Liu that chopped the head off? Does anyone else have anything else to say? Y'all know what
And
movie
it,
I'm talking about.
and if y'all do have
Kill
something
Bill
else to
too.
say, I got the credits ready to roll. I'm letting y'all
I
know it take too long.
I just
We
want to
good.
say that if anybody saw the beginning of this show, I am in no way support the killing of any natives or any Indians or any Native Americans or any. I was just trying to make a point.
We hear you, no saying, and we ready for you now. You can play that shit if you want.
Yeah, we're
No,
gonna see what you're doing on Columbus Day. We're gonna see what you're doing. Where did you do Thanksgiving? Where were you doing Thanksgiving?
He went out there and he went
Did
out
you
there
go
to
out there
get
and
ready
feed
to
some
go buy that.
Indians?
no,
He went
I'll
out there
say this.
and
I'll say this. Thank you, No Saint, for coming up here, right, and being in the hot seat as the colonizer. Thank you for being our colonizer this evening.
Yes.
Okay.
But I
Appreciate it.
do want to before I go, I do want to say that some of the comments on here, and I know we disagree, Jen, kind of said what I was saying, that it's not in the DNA, that exploitation is something that is in all humans, and it's just whether you have the opportunity to exploit or not.
Get out of here. I don't believe you. Whatever. Who's next?
Like I
Anyway,
told you,
love the
Not
Jen,
going
show.
to agree with you for
like I
any
told you, Jen,
reasons.
like I told you, Jen, when I gave people a choice, whether they can be invisible or they can fly, most motherfuckers say I want to be invisible.
True.
Fine, no saying your 20-minute head start went to 22 minutes. Okay.
The Taino in me has met my quota for agreeing with the white devil. So
Ooh.
I ain't got no more.
Oh
No
my
saying.
God.
That's all.
Okay.
What I could. No,
No,
thank you for coming up. I was
it was a
hoping
great show.
Glenn came up too, but I don't know where Glenn is at. But with that said, in his defense, I didn't invite him. I was just hoping he saw the light on and came through. No, but thank you sincerely. Thank you for that, because most white people would have read it. And Ron was like, "No saint ain't coming up today." I said, "Well, I'm dragging him over here because I invited him." So he's
I said that man gonna see that. He'd be like, "That's bait. I'm not showing up for this bullshit."
Jen, let's address the real issue. He's COINTELPRO. He's building out dossiers on all of us.
Come on, yes,
There's a
you
little
know
man
that
in a
you
little,
you know
little
that
black trench coat with a little hat, and he's standing at your corner with a little notepad taking notes.
They literally told No Saint his mission was find them strong motherfuckers on YouTube. Find them. Poor girl with a lot of shit to say. She knows about the zebra killings. Get her. No Saint.
Hey, we don't talk too much about the zebra killings. I know a couple of those guys.
But hey, in all honesty, that any agents, infiltrators didn't look like me. And when it comes to what happened to the Nation of Islam or to Malcolm X, they look like.
That's very true. That's very true. That's very true. That's very, very, very true. That is, I will not disagree with you. If you even look at some of the records, if you look at some of the records, no, if you look at some of the records, there would be like 3 people in a room. They were all black, and it was like, how did they get this information? That guy in there was the agent. So I the nation was honeycombed with
It's that time. It's that time, guys. I will say good night.
Brother Ish about to get the whole NOI secrets out. Let's not do this.
I will say this. Rest in peace to Malcolm X and all of our people who died
He's chilling in Cuba with Tupac.
In the name of fighting the colonizers. Let's just leave that there.
Right. Ain't finna get me shot.
Right. Also, thank you guys again. Y'all are my fucking all-stars. No cap. I knew this was gonna be dope. Let's do it again tomorrow. Listen, I'm gonna share this thing everywhere and let people know this is the hottest fucking stream I've had so far. I love this fucking subject and everything that was said. All right, guys. So if there's nothing else, Tristan, get me off of here so I could go eat.
I told you to have something ready, but you don't listen, as always. You know what? Because people like to play the victim card. How about this one? Every damn brick they try to throw at you, use it to stand on. I love you all. Class is dismissed.
Night, folks.
Tristan, good night, guys.
Peace.
Woo! This one was fuego. Thank you so much in the chat for holding me down with the super chats, the love, and watching them wrenches. Gracias. All right, guys. If you like this, please share it. This was a really, really dope panel, dope commentary, a different spin on colonization and the beef with Cardi B and Nicole Arbour. Share this, talk about it amongst your friends and your family. Let's stop making the white man that big monster that's holding you by the ankles so you can't be all you could fucking be. Okay. Get that bag. All right. All right, guys. So with that, I will say good night to you. If you're still here, hit that like and subscribe for me. And I will see you mañana. Don't forget, send me topics at On the Block with Jen at Gmail. Come check me out at On the Block with Jen on TikTok and On the Block with Jen Instagram. If you're catching the replay and you can't super chat me, hit me at the Cash App below, On the Block with Jen Cash App. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye. I hope you enjoyed. I did. Buenas noches.